In the world of true crime streams and late night takes, lives a chubby baker chasing all his breaks. He fires up the mic every single day, tries to make it better in his own sweet way. The internet's a wild ride, full of twists and turns, but he keeps it rolling every lesson learned. Broken Baker, whoa, the little YouTuber who tries every day. Broken Baker, whoa, keeps on pushing forward, come what may. Good deeds shine on through the noise. Every effort moves him forward. Broken Baker, lighten up the chaos. He's just trying to share the facts and fun, diving into stories from dawn till done. From big cases to community chats, he brings the energy, no holding back. Broken Baker, whoa, the little YouTuber who tries every day. Broken Baker, whoa, keeps on pushing forward, come what may. Good deeds shine on through the noise. Every effort moves him forward. Broken Baker, keep on baking anyway. He's the Broken Baker, a real content creator, sharing stories from everywhere. Yo, Baker! Broken Baker! Oh, every day he's out there screaming. Broken Baker! Oh, true crime tales and hot takes beaming. Good deeds shine on through the noise. Every effort moves him forward. Broken Baker, he's the one.
Good. Welcome back to part 2 of the Mario Fernandez Saldana trial, where hopefully at some point we'll figure out what, if any, because this morning I was not impressed by what we saw. It was a lot of trying to look over here because it's actually over here, kind of. Oh, I have my Bucky shirts on today. I like the text on the back. I don't know if you can see it because I can't see myself from the back, but I like that. But we didn't really find out anything other than the people that they have kind of implied gave him a pew-pew didn't have access to that pew-pew. No one knows where the pew-pew is. No one knows if it was that pew-pew used. And someone's son stopped as a police officer because he kind of felt like he was being forced out of the job. I kind of got that vibe. The state had tried to force Mr. Biggerstaff to lie on their behalf. I kind of felt like again. So I think that the best summary of the morning's proceedings was Mr. Biggerstaff's wives liked more than just Mr. Biggerstaff. And we don't know where the pew-pew came from. We don't know who has the pew-pew. We don't know if what, if any, pew-pew exists. And the state is trying to play their little bitty mind games where they are trying to imply, and then the jury better pick up those signals so they can find him guilty based on no real evidence other than 3 checks that, again, that doesn't take me beyond a reasonable doubt. He could have paid him for doing yard work. I know my biggest problem so far is still how Tenen and Mario, who has a relationship, and in the middle you have the victim. It's kind of like there's a natural in that, but still the state have to prove it. Mind games with swingers. Yeah, and he had to force Mario to bang his wife. That's Can we see a picture of said wife? Because is she that ugly that he has? I'm just saying that's calling the wife out, and that's unnecessary. That he's implying. Hey, favorite sister. But yeah, I hope the afternoon gets better because the morning wasn't a big thing. Hey, Nefarious. Hey, Book. I worked out this morning. I was told that I can start lifting again, but I have to be so I didn't lift anything really heavy. I think the heaviest thing I lifted was, well, I did some well, I just took some dumbbells and just carried them around and did some rounds because it's good to stabilize your core with that, and it burns out your shoulders as well. And I like big traps, so but it was only 66 pounds, so in each hand, I'm getting weak. Hey, Walker in Georgia, but no, I think 66 pounds in each hand was the highest limit. I had to go all the way down and hammer curls I normally do with 36 kilos times 2. That's 72. That's 75.6. Normally do hammer curls with 36 kilos in each hand. I can't do that anymore. I'm getting old and well, that's the thing. A lot of guys will blow up their guns, but how many times do you show your guns? Do forearms and do traps. That's the things that you can always show. And calves, but that's because I always wear shorts. Train smarter, not hard. Well, I do train hard. But it's disappointing and you're sitting there and doing pull downs and it's like 70 pounds and you're like, I just feel like a weakling. Back in the day, I could pull like 200 pounds. Getting old. Yes, it's my gallbladder that I have to remove. Well, I don't. I talked to my buddy today. He was just operated, had a stent put in his leg because he has naturally high cholesterol, so his legs was not getting enough oxygen. So he had a stent put in. He said, you know that in Denmark, we have a 30-day guarantee. I said, didn't they remove that during the vid and never put that back in? And, well, I used it. So I have to call my doctor at the end of the week. He did say if I hadn't heard anything at the end of the month, I should call him. So I'm going to call my doctor at the end of the week and say, can you try and get me in because I have a 30-day guaranteed. Because I want to, if I can get operated on within the next 2-3 weeks, and I need probably a couple of weeks to get over it, I'll be kind of back to normal when Boba Baker comes along. So, yeah. No, absolutely not. It tastes horrible. I drink water, electrolytes, a little energy drink now and again, and then coffee. I don't drink. I like tea when it's cold, but not green tea. Green tea is piss sour. I don't like it. And can I say, cauliflower rice doesn't taste enough like cauliflower. I would rather just have boiled a cauliflower. Oh, yeah. I didn't think it tasted enough like cauliflower. That's... Hey, Dodo. Dodo, Dodo, Dodo. Well, back to the trial. Now enough about my illnesses and my poor choice in dinners. It tasted okay, but I wished it tasted more like cauliflower. And it doesn't really have a bite to it, so I would rather have just bought cauliflower and lightly cooked it. I like it when it's more al dente than all the way through. No, it's fine. That's why you watch on my channel. I rant about almost anything. People get pissy. I just watch the trial.
Lunch today. Okay, good. All right.
Well, I think I
So
can-
we are ready to continue with the evidence. State of Florida, call your next witness.
Chris Johns.
Chris Johns.
Was he a John of
Will you please raise your right?
Said nothing but the truth.
is the biggest of wives?
Hey, please.
Proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. So jury knows you. We don't have to go through any introductions. You've been brought back primarily to discuss the financial records that you obtained during the course of your investigation. But there was one thing we forgot to ask you, and that's State's Exhibit 199. Detective, have you had the occasion to go to the Potomac address, Mario Fernandez's former rental house, to see how it looks today?
Yes, I have.
And I'm showing you it's been entered evidence of State's Exhibit 199. Is that a fair and accurate depiction of how it looks today?
Yes, it is.
I think in the top left-hand corner of the picture, it says the Google Earth image is approximately March of 2025.
That's correct.
So State's Exhibit 199 would have been after Mr. Fernandez sold the home.
Yes.
So now we can go to some of the financial records you obtained. How do you, as an investigator, go about obtaining financial records?
Through a subpoena issued by the state attorney's office.
And when
I just looked up cauliflower pizza, and this is where I normally get my recipes. They always have some pretty good and pretty easy scalable recipes on this website. And it just says, I have to admit, I've been cautious about and a little bit skeptic about the concept of cauliflower pizza. Not because I couldn't envision it tasting pretty decent, but calling it pizza. I love spices, love using what do you call it? Ingredients in a new and exciting way. And I'm not that conservative. It tastes okay though, but more like a pie than a pizza, like a real pie, not a pizza pie. And even if it tastes great, it won't be, I won't call it pizza. So, and you shouldn't expect a lovely Italian pizza with a thin crust. This pizza is different, but it tastes okay anyway. I like when they write that instead of all the, oh, this is the greatest ever.
you receive those records, do you also receive an affidavit saying that these records are made in the normal course of business?
Yes.
Okay, so what we're going to do is, first of all, State's Exhibit 171. We'll give the jury an idea of how these records are contained. I've opened up State's Exhibit 171, and it should be on everyone's screen now. When the jury looks at the attendant financial records, we see two different folders come up. Can you explain that to the jury what those are?
One of them is a Credit One bank credit card, and it's just the credit card statements, and I think the application information. The other folder is his PNC Bank subpoena return, which is his bank account.
Okay, if we open up the Credit One, is this what you refer to as his credit card history?
Yes, sir.
I think it's all pretty self-explanatory, so we don't need to go through that. But let's look at the PNC bank records. We see two different folders when we click on those. Is there overlap contained in those records?
Yes, there is.
Why do we have overlap?
It was just the time period that was requested on the subpoena, and so it was the return of it.
So is there any reason for the jury to spend their time on the June 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2022 files?
No, the first folder basically covers the time period that we reviewed, and then up until the time that he was arrested.
So that would be the 1/1/2022 to August 18th, 2022.
That's correct.
Okay. First thing we're going to look at is that certification. Is that what you refer to as you received from the records custodian?
Yes, sir.
The jury can see that published. So we will now go to 1/1/2022 to 8/18/2022. Do we see some redactions in these?
Yes, sir.
Is that like for things like social security numbers?
That's correct.
Of course. There it is. Of course, this Adobe looks completely different from my Adobe. There we go. So looking at page 22 of State's 171, what is the jury looking at here?
This is a checking, or statement for his checking account at PNC Bank.
If we scroll down on page 22, can you, for the record and for the jury, indicate what the beginning balance and ending balance was of Henry Tenen on his bank statement for the dates of 1/7/2022 to 2/4/2022?
I believe the
Oh, he's in custody. It doesn't matter. He doesn't have access to this anymore.
Well, I guess let me show that for the jury. Is that 1/7/2022 to 2/4/2022, the period of the bank statement?
yes, sir.
All right, and then scrolling down to the balance summary.
The beginning balance is 52 cents and the ending balance is negative $2.38.
And how many deposits and other additions were there in the bank account?
There was a total of $250 in deposits and there were deductions in the amount of $252.90.
And we see an average monthly balance. Could you read that for the record?
The average monthly balance on the statement is negative $66.17.
And were there additional charges and fees, like overdraft fees, that were included?
$36 for the statement.
Do these statements also contain banking and debit card withdrawals and purchases?
Yes.
Let's go now to the period 2/5 to 3/4. And do we see that at the top of the statement on page 24?
Yes.
And then going to the balance summaries, can you again show the jury the ending balance, the deposits, and the ending balance?
The beginning balance was negative $2.38. There were $703.50 in deposits, $643.80 in deductions, giving an ending balance of $57.30.
Okay, we also see significant overdraft fees.
There were a total of $144 in overdraft fees.
And again, we see the debit card withdrawals and purchases.
Yes, sir.
So now going from to 3/5 to 4/6 of 2022, beginning on page 26, what is the balance summaries?
The beginning balance was $57.30. The deposits were $11,518.95. Deductions were $4,601.79. Gave an ending balance of $6,974.46, bringing his average monthly balance to $941.36. And there were $180 in overdraft fees.
So going to the deposits and other additions on page 27, do we see 3 significant check deposits?
Yes.
And can you put the dates and the amounts?
On 3/28, he deposited a check for $2,000. On 3/29, he deposited an additional $3,000 check. And then on April 6th, he deposited a $5,000 check.
And do these checks end up matching the business check stubs that were found in Henry Tenen's truck?
Yes.
Do we also see cash deposits?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll get to those in a little bit. And again, we see the banking card withdrawals and purchases.
That's correct.
Do we see work that corresponds to Henry Tenen's truck on 4/4 of 2022?
Yes, sir, we do.
Discount tire, as well as advanced auto parts on 4/4. We see those?
Correct, yes.
So we're going to fast forward to page 39. That's not page 31. This is.
Come on.
Yeah, we're looking at page, 38 going into page 39. Do we have the pay period several months later?
Yes, July 8th through August 4th.
And what are the balances?
The beginning balance is $204.63. There were $829.84 in deposits. There were $1,336.39 in deductions, with an ending balance of negative $301.92.
And this would have been the balance shortly before Mr. Tenen's arrest.
That's correct.
So now if we would go ahead and fast forward, do these records contain the check deposits and or the deposit slips of cash that Mr. Tenen did?
Yes.
So turning first to page 44, what are we looking at here?
That is a check, like an electronic check for a credit card payment.
Let's see here. We can look a little bit bigger.
I'm sorry, that's an Advance America payment.
I need to make it bigger. So This was paid to Advance America as from Henry Tennant. In other words, he owed them money for advances.
That's correct.
And that was the amount of $100 done on July 29th of 2022.
Correct.
And then we're going to go to page 50. It's smaller. What is the jury looking at on page 50?
This is a paycheck for Mr. Tennant from Monis & Pallets.
Can you state what the amount is?
$364.37.
In reviewing Mr. Tennant's bank records, were his payments from Monis & Pallets typically in this amount range?
Fairly consistent amount.
And did they also always include cents? In other words, they weren't flat numbers, like 100 or 200.
That's correct.
And will we see some of these deposits in his bank records?
Yes.
Did you give the date of January 28th of 2022?
No, it's dated January 28th, 2022.
That's okay. The jury can read that. And does it say in the memo what the pay period was?
Yes, the pay period is January 16th, 2022 to January 22nd, 2022.
So about $364.37 for a week's worth of work.
Yes, sir.
Do we see that corresponding deposit?
Yes, sir.
Okay, looking now at page 250, in reviewing these records, did you also notice that Mr. Tennant was making cash deposits?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any idea where that cash came from?
No, sir, I did not.
So looking at page 52, do you see a cash deposit February 11th of 2022 for $250?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Remind us about when the homicide was?
It was the 16th of February.
Do we see the corresponding deposit check?
Yes, sir.
On 2/18 of 2022, do we also see a cash deposit?
Yes.
Well, thank you, Anderson. Have you been watching this morning? Can you tell me what, if anything, did we learn from the witnesses this morning? Other than he didn't have the gun, no one gave him a gun, and I still don't know how they're connecting them. But thank you so much for joining us.
So we do for $340.
And do we see that corresponding deposit check
Yes, sir.
or slip? Looking now at page 56, what is the date and deposit here?
It is March 14th, 2022,
And for how much?
$520.
Okay. User error. All right, if we can go to page 56, what are we looking at here?
That's a deposit ticket for $520.
And then page 58.
It's another deposit ticket for $150 on March 18th.
Then on March 28th of 2022, is this the deposit slip for the $2,000 check?
Yes, sir, it is.
Now on page 60, what is that?
That is a check written to Mr. Tennant for $2,000 from First Choice Home Rentals, LLC on March 28th, 2022.
And for how much?
$2,000.
And for what?
According to the memo line, it's for landscaping and clearing.
The person that writes the check puts that information on.
Yes, sir.
In reviewing the records of this case, did you find any invoices from Henry Tennant charging for $2,000 worth of landscaping and clearing?
No, sir, I did not.
And who signed the check?
Mario Fernandez.
And then on the same day, there's another check on page 62. Please read it for the record.
Also from First Choice Home Rentals, LLC to Mr. Tennant for $3,000. It says keeping up with the roof, also signed by Mario Fernandez.
Again, did you see any invoices corresponding to that?
No, sir.
But you don't need an invoice. He puts it on his business record, in his business checking book, so the IRS will see it. Then it's up to Mr. Tennant to report it as income. Isn't that's how it is in Denmark? If I pay anything, and I pay with my business account, it'll go to my accountant. I have to just tell I use this money for this.
Is that the deposit slip for the $3,000 on page 63?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Then the next check is 4/4 of 2022 on page 64. What are we looking at here?
Also, the third check written by First Choice Home Rentals, LLC, dated 4/4/2022, made out to Henry Tennant for $5,000. The memo line says Kickstarter, good luck, and it's signed by Mario Fernandez.
So for the period of time that you looked at Henry Tennant's bank records, were these payments different from the payments he received for his normal job at the pallet company?
Yes, sir.
Were they significantly more money?
Very much so.
And do we see the deposit on page 65?
Yes, sir.
And just to show the jury some of the deposits for his work at his pallet company, we're looking at page 66 is the deposit slip for 2 different checks.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And do we have pictures of those checks on page 67 and then 68?
Yes, sir.
First 67, again, this is from Monison Pallets, and we talked about that non-round figure of $367.88.
88 cents. Yes.
And again, do we have a pay period listed there?
April 10th, 2022 to April 16th, 2022.
And then again, on page 68, please put the amount, the date, and then the pay period.
The check's dated 4/15/2022. It's for $483.79. And the pay period is April 3rd, 2022 to April 9th, 2022.
And then we also see some cash deposits.
Yes, sir. A cash deposit for $700 on May 11th.
Again, you don't know where that cash came from.
No, sir.
More cash deposits. Let's go ahead and go to 75. So we see, we don't have to go through each cash deposit. The jury can find that there are several cash deposits.
Yes, sir.
And then go to some more of the checks. On page 77. For the record, just put those items of information on the record.
It's a paycheck from June 10th, 2022 for $365.19. The pay period is May 29th, 2022 through June 4th, 2022.
But it's the same. I had an hour's massage this morning. Wonderful, wonderful massage. And I just pay. Boom. Then it's up to her to register that she had that income. I don't give a shit. I just paid her. I didn't put a byline for a massage or anything. We have something called mobile pay in Denmark where you just scan the QR code and then you put in the amount to pay them. I don't know if she's going to pay the IRS. I just paid her for an hour service. I didn't get a receipt or anything, but that's why I spend my money. I spend it on that. Again, if she doesn't declare it to the IRS, that's her problem. It's not a me problem. I bought something.
And then page 80.
This paycheck is dated July 8th, 2022. It is for $324.93. And the pay period covered is June 26th, 2022 to July 2nd, 2022.
Now, Detective, could some of the cash deposits be situations where the legitimate work that Mr. Tennant did was deposited and taken out and then redeposited?
Yes, sir.
We just don't know where the cash came from.
That's correct.
Okay. We are now going to look at Mr. Fernandez and Ms. Gardner's financials. So when we open up their financials, do we look at 3 different folders?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Explain to the jury what the 3 folders are.
The Navy Federal return, which is, I would say, their primary banking institution. And then Mr. Fernandez had some accounts at USAA. And then there was also an account at Vistar, which I believe he might have been associated with, but I don't believe that to be his money. I believe it was his mother's.
And these 3 are going to be in States Exhibit 170. So let's look at the Navy Federal since that's the primary one that we're going to be looking at. Do we see that certification in the first Adobe file?
Yes, sir.
And I'll start with, what is Navy Federal Beached Bake 904?
That is a small cookie business that they owned.
And then do we have a Fernandez checking and savings account in the third Adobe?
Yes, sir.
We also have a First Choice Home Rental in the fourth.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a Shanna Gardner checking and savings in the fifth?
That's correct.
And then the Shanna Gardner Irrevocable Trust in the sixth.
Yes, sir.
So we'll begin first by going through the First Choice Home Rental, because we have First Choice Home Rental checks that were deposited in Henry Tennant's account that we just saw.
That's correct.
So page 2, what are we looking at here?
This is the membership application for Navy Federal Credit Union for the First Choice banking relationship, and it lists the 2 owners of this LLC.
And who are the two owners?
Mario Fernandez and Shanna Gardner.
Is there a percentage of ownership listed?
According to this application, it shows that Mario Fernandez is 60% and Shanna Gardner is 40%.
So we are going to go, and certainly all of these are in the record, so I'm only skipping things for time's sake. On page 46, this is going to be for the time period of February 1st, 2022 to February 28th, 2022.
Yes, sir.
Explain to the jury what they're looking at in the business checking and the business savings account of this LLC.
This is a statement for the period that you stated, 2/1/2022 through 2/28/2022. Unlike a lot of banks, credit unions you have a main account number, and then you would have what they refer to as shares, which are just the sub accounts of your main account. In this case, you're looking at one, which is the business checking account, and then the other, which is just the business savings account.
And the previous balances, and then show what's deposited.
The total previous balance was $4,206 for both accounts. The total deposits were $56,201.67. Withdrawals were $601.33, and then the ending total balance for both of those sub-accounts is $59,806.61.
And then we'll see on page 47, obviously there was a lot of money deposited. Does it say on 2/22 and 2/28 where those $5,000 and $50,000 deposits came from?
I know at least the $50,000 one came from Mr. Fernandez's account.
So from his account into the LLC.
That's correct.
So we see here a transfer from checking for Courtney Thomas. What is this?
That would be a rent payment, I believe.
And do we see that reoccurring on a monthly basis?
Yes,
And is that for the Sandalwood property as opposed to the Potomac property?
that's correct.
Do we have evidence in the Potomac property that rent was approximately $700?
I think it was 800, but I'm not sure.
780,
Yeah.
somewhere in that range.
Then why did you pay 1,100?
Do we see on page 50 that there were some legitimate payments made for the care of the Potomac home?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And please show that to the jury.
You need more? Sure.
Should I stop? No, I was just wondering what's going on.
Utilities? Because we have rent and utilities if your landlord takes in utilities.
Show the payment to, we're looking at page 50. If you could show the jury the payment to Bueller.
Yes, sir, right there on March 3rd, there's a $14,000 payment right there. And that was for Bueller Air Conditioning.
And do we also see payments for items from the Home Depot?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Do we also see that $2,000 and $3,000 checks that correspond to the checks written to Henry Tennant?
Yes, sir.
And your review of these records was the balance of over $55,000 unusual for this LLC?
Yes, sir.
And although unusual, there was a large expenditure to Bueller Air.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Was the amount that was deposited well in excess of the $14,000 to Bueller Air?
Yes, it was.
So we're fast forwarding to, well, too fast. Going back to page 53, which is on a separate statement, do we see that $5,000 check on 4/7 made to Henry Tennant?
Yes, sir.
Am I underlining it on check 29?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
We also see a check 30, it was $240.
Yes, sir.
Did Mr. Tennant also deposit cash amounts in $240 increments sometimes?
Yes.
But you didn't show us a check from Mr. Tennant with $240 on it.
And that
Just
$5,000
imply
was at
that's
4/7.
him.
What was the memo line of that $5,000?
I believe it said Kickstarter, good luck.
Okay, going now to page 59. So we see transfers that reduce the balance in this account directly to Mario Fernandez.
Yes, sir.
And just, I guess, point the dates out and circle them for the jury.
Looks like June 16th, June 23rd for 5,000, and then an additional for 5,000. And then there's another one for $500 on the 24th.
I think the $500 was a reoccurring one, as payment for like his doing this work.
Yes, sir.
And then going to page 72. What are we looking at on page 72, specifically the October 14th?
There was a cash withdrawal for $10,000.
And below that, do we see a transfer to from checking back into the account?
Yes, sir.
In reviewing all of these records, do there appear to be a lot of money moving around?
There was, yes, sir.
And your training experience, could you figure out really a reason why all this money was moving around?
No, there was no what seemed legitimate reason for it.
Grounds.
Lack of foundation and speculation.
I'll sustain as a foundation.
Well, let me just ask the question because you kind of added on sometimes. Did you see any reason why any of this should be happening?
Let me see it at sidebar.
This guy is, he was the lead detective, and now I think he's part-time that and part-time doing some accounting stuff. So we're continuing withdrawals in large, even dollar amounts, big red flag. Yeah, but he was kind of shifting it back and forward to, I think he was kind of padding his own stuff. I don't know. But again, the amounts he paid to the alleged killer was $2,000, $3,000, and $5,000. So he did well. I think they're trying to imply that these $5,000 then was used to cash payments or something like that.
You may proceed.
Thank you. So we left off on page 72. Do we see a cash withdrawal for $10,000 and then a transfer of $5,000?
Yes, sir.
We're going to now, do these records also contain the checks?
Yes, sir, they do.
We're going to start those on page 117. So explain to the jury what they're looking at on 117.
This is a check written to Tri-H Construction for $2,000.
And is there in the memo line or 4-line information?
Yes, it lists the White Horse property address, and I can't read the rest of the memo line there.
It may say
Agreement draw, I think.
I'm not really sure.
Agreement draw or agreement draw, something like that.
And the White Horse is the Sandwood address?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And then on page 118, what are we looking at here?
Also a check to Tri-H Construction for $16,300. And it says siding repairs, and it also gives the White Horse Road address.
And both of these checks are back in well, one of them doesn't have a date on it. Maybe on the other part of the check it does. Yeah, they're both in 2021. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
And then on page 119?
Another check to Tri-H Construction for $2,573.99. And it says for siding and electrical.
Page 120?
This check is dated October 14th, 21 to Current Electrical Contractors Incorporated. It's for $317 and is also for the White Horse property. It has an invoice number there.
It does have it has an invoice number. Okay, and then on page 121.
This is the $2,000 check that we saw with Mr. Tennan's records. It says for landscaping and clearing.
Page 122.
Another check written to Mr. Tenon for $3,000, and it says keeping up with the roof.
And 123.
A check dated 4/4/2022 for $5,000, and it says written to Mr. Tenon, and it says Kickstarter, good luck.
And do we see a check on page 124?
Yes, sir. This one was written April 5th, 2022 to JB Cornwell, I believe. $240. Dirt AS, I'm not sure.
Dirt AS Marty.
And then on page 125.
Check written on 4/22/2022 for $7,494, written to Current Electrical Contractors Incorporated, and it lists the Potomac address.
Page 126.
Check written on June 30th of 2022 to JB Corwell for $425. I believe it says store 57.
I think, Detective, if you look at for deposit only, it may be JB Coxwell.
Oh, sorry. Yes, JB Coxwell.
They're a contractor with an operating account.
Yes.
Page 127.
June 30th, also to JB Coxwell for $200. It says for fill dirt for the White Horse Road address.
128.
Current Electrical Contractors Incorporated for $158. And it says invoice 2864-A.
So let's look at the third one, which is Mario Enrique Fernandez's accounts. And do we see his information as well as a family member, which is his brother?
Yes, sir.
I'm fast forwarding now to page 59. What are we looking at for the statement period 4/8 of 22 to 5/27 of 22?
Yes, sir.
Is there an interesting deposit?
There is a transfer of $45,000.
So what was the beginning balance and what was the ending balance?
The previous balance, or the starting balance, had been $49,804.69. And the ending balance was $2,000.43.
We're into page 151. 4/28/22 to 5/27/22. If we fast forward in those accounts, on page 151, turning your attention to 813, what do we see in 813?
There was a cash withdrawal of $2,250.
This is 6 months later. What are we
Turning now
looking
to
at?
the next page.
Looking at this for?
This is going to be page 152. And again, we're looking at a statement period now because we're jumping between different checking accounts in July of 2021. What is this?
It's a bank wire that was received for $382,894.34.
And did your investigation lead to where that came from?
That was the sale of the house that Ms. Gardner owned prior to marrying Mr. Fernandez.
And we can see that that money remained in the account for some period of time.
Yes, sir.
And then turning to the next statement period, going from August to September of 21, we still have a large portion of that money remaining in that account.
Yes, sir.
Do we have large withdrawals?
Yes, sir.
I'm showing you page 156. Do we see one of those large withdrawals on 9/13?
Yes, sir, for $150,000.
Now, during the course of your investigation, were you able to determine what Mr. Fernandez's employment was during the period of time that was relevant to your investigation?
I believe during the time that we were looking at these bank statements, he received money from the VA.
In addition to any monies he was receiving from the VA, did he have some rental properties?
Yes, sir, he did.
Which I think you said totaled about less than $2,000?
I believe during the period we looked at, there was a total of $31,500 in rental payments.
Did your investigation lead to where this money is all coming from?
Most of the money that was transferred into this account would have derived from the trust.
And whose trust is that?
Ms. Gardner's.
In your investigation, I think the jury's already heard that her parents were very wealthy.
Yes, sir.
Just look at a couple more of these. 176. Do we see a large withdrawal during the period of time of 1/28/22 to 2/27/22?
Yes, sir. There was a large withdrawal of $36,500.
And then page 180, which is the same period of time, 2/28/22 to 3/27/22. Do we have a large transfer to checking?
Yes, the $50,000 transfer.
Again, what are they implying with this? I don't understand where we're going. Why the hell isn't it full screen? I don't understand where we're going with this. So they have a lot of money going in, going out, but where are they going to and what are they used for? Is it something nefarious? Escrow specialist, ACH collector, got $2,500. What's that? Tesla Motor got $10. Comcast, that's television. Chase Credit Auto Pay. Amex e-payment. CityCard online payment. CityCard auto pay payment. What are we implying? What are we saying? What is... there's no real Ponzi because, again, she had a trust and they took money out of that trust and put into the company. It doesn't seem like that company is doing that well because they are bleeding, hemorrhaging money. But did they find those 50,000 what they were used for, or are they just claiming that they gave that to the alleged killer? It's so easy to just say, oh, well, they paid a lot of money. But for what? Can you find any of it? Did you find large amount of cash laying around the house? Did they take the money out to hide from the IRS? We need to find out where the money went and why. Hey, Jinxie Poo. Nu bor jeg på samme ø som dig. Well, ikke ø. Halvø som dig.
Fast forwarding to page 265. I know the jury has already seen the fact that these accounts contain checks. What are we looking at on page 265?
That is a check that was written to Mr. Fernandez from Mercedes-Benz of Jacksonville for $35,000.
Did your investigation lead to what that was for?
I believe that's for the sale of the Tesla.
And finally, on page 277, what are we looking at there?
That is a check to Mario Fernandez from Shelley and Sterling Gardner for $75,000.
But this is 12/21/21. So he got 75,000 from them in December and then hired a hitman to kill the ex-husband 2 months later. Is that the theory?
What was the date of that?
I believe it's 12/21.
I'll go back to it. Just for the record.
Yeah, December 21st, 2021.
And is there anything on the memo line?
No, sir.
So I want to spend just a minute on the beach baked. Is Mr. Fernandez also listed as the named person on that account?
Yes, sir, he is.
And does it list the 1511 Marsh Inlet Court address?
Yes, sir.
And does it also list Ms. Gardner as well?
Yes, it does.
So just to show the jury, are there any large amounts that are either deposited or written checks on this account?
No, they're usually fairly small amounts, less than $1,000.
Is that consistent with what you learned about the home baked goods account business that Ms. Gardner ran?
Yes, sir.
So just for example, on page 8, we're talking about balances that range between $500 and $1,700.
Yes, sir.
And on page 10, $500 to $1,100.
That's correct.
All right. Now, we're going to look at the irrevocable trust. Before we go into what's contained in the bank records, did you also review the trust documents in this case?
Yes, sir, we did.
And what do the trust documents say about Jared Bridegan?
That Miss Gardner could resume being in charge of her trust once she had no further legal entanglements with Mr. Bridegan.
We'll look at that in a minute.
Good to see you as well. How are you doing?
It's definitely here. I just factored in the pay stub.
Hot mic.
All right. Let's look at who was.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
The trustee of the irrevocable, Shanna Gardner Irrevocable Trust.
Mr. Fernandez.
And do we see that here contained on page 1?
Yes.
So why didn't he just kill her? Then he would get money.
Skip to page 25. Can you explain to the jury the statement period 7/18/21 to 8/27/21 what they're looking at?
Yes, it looks like there was one sub checking account and then 3 sub savings accounts. And the total balance, or the beginning balance for the statement period would have been $181,195.93. Ending balance for the entire of the sub accounts was $179,713.46.
And the identical balances in the 2 savings accounts, would that correspond to the accounts that were designated for AB and LB?
Yes.
Guess we need to go to the beginning of the trust. Do we have an ending balance of 12/28/20 to 1/27/21?
The ending balance was $218,655.88.
What? So this trust grew $118,652.85. When? When is in 1 year it grew over 100,000. That's pretty good.
Looked at page 52. What are we looking at here? First of all, let me put the dates. 4/8/28 of 2022 to 5/27 of 2022.
Yes, sir.
What are we looking at here?
The beginning balance was $251,026.15. And then the ending balance was $12,202.61.
And what happened from the 2021, early 2022 statements until April and May of 22? What had changed?
Ms. Gardner had opened up another account, and I believe they were separating, so they were transferring out all the remaining assets.
Was there a need for an irrevocable trust anymore?
No.
And we see on that 5/2 transfer of $120,000?
Yes, sir.
Page 68, which is going to be September of 2022, what are we looking at?
This is the Shanna Gardner Irrevocable Trust statement, and it is $0.
I'm showing you what has been entered into evidence as defense exhibit number 3, subsection C, page 25. Can you read that into the record?
Furthermore, and notwithstanding the foregoing, when our daughter Shanna shall have no further legal entanglements with her ex-husband, Jared G. Bridegan, she may elect to serve as the trustee by delivering a signed and notarized document to the trustee then in office.
So now the motive is not that she want to move and get full custody. It's to kill the husband so she gets full custody over the trust. What?
So we look at page 72. Do we also see a corresponding check to Shanna Gardner in the amount of $75,000 that corresponds to the date and time that Mario Fernandez received that $75,000 check?
Yes, sir.
So now I want to look at Ms. Gardner's checking and savings account. We're going to go first, page 38. You could just explain to the jury what they're looking at for the statement period 12/20/21 to 1/19 of 2022.
She has two sub-accounts, a checking and a savings, with a total previous balance of $1,245 and an ending balance of $1,120.63.
And do we see those everyday checking things that she's paying for and things like that?
Yes, sir.
And then from 1/20/22 to 2/19 of 2022, similar type balances?
Yes, sir.
And then 2/20 to 3/19, do we have similar type balances?
Yes, sir.
And then 3/20 to 4/19, similar balances?
Yes, sir.
Then 4/20 to 5/19 of 2022, what's changed?
There was a significant increase in the balances.
Can you show the deposits for the jury and say what they are?
So the previous starting balance was $3,246. And then there was a total deposit in the amount of $233,419.09. And the withdrawals of $15,511.80, giving her an ending balance of $221,147.01.
And do we see those 50, 45, and 120,000 figures in different parts of the other accounts?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Are you familiar with the $10,000 threshold?
Yes, I am.
Explain that to the jury.
If you take a cash withdrawal or do a wire in the amount of in $10,000 or more, they're required to do a currency transaction report, which basically reports to FinCEN or the Treasury Department any large movement of money.
That's all the question, Joe.
Thank you. Cross-examination?
Yes, ma'am.
You need a moment, Mr. Mizrahi.
Other than dropping my pen, no. Don't.
You take a few trips.
It's evidence. You need this?
Yeah, they put up some flags, but again, I didn't feel like they showed he couldn't have done landscaping, roofing, whatever they claim he did. Again, it's very loose, this connection, and this payment must be for the murder, especially because it happened later. And all the withdrawals, the big withdrawals, were not directly correlating with the time of the unaliving. Maybe I'm just expecting too much of the state.
No.
This is your number.
Yeah, I don't need it at the moment. Thank you, though.
I think Sipu.
Okay.
10K flags the bank. I think any amount over 1,000 Danish, which is like 800 American that I get from abroad, unless it's from a company,
That one over there.
they will flag it and make sure that I know that I get this money. My sister sometimes deposits to
afternoon.
me
Good afternoon, sir.
I bought
Good to
from
see you
her,
again.
and it's just stupid.
Let's talk about a few things first globally. Shanna Gardner's family is extremely wealthy, correct?
Yes, sir.
Hundreds of millions of dollars in yearly revenue, correct?
That's what's been reported.
You have no reason to believe that's not true, right?
No, sir.
And Shanna Gardner's parents gave Miss Gardner and Mr. Fernandez money, correct?
Yes, sir.
And through your investigation, you were able to learn that it wasn't just those two $75,000 checks. They got regular and reoccurring money from the Gardner family, correct?
Yes, sir.
So although you just talked about two checks, since the moment Mr. Fernandez married into that family, he started getting money, correct?
I can only go and report what is the time period that was reviewed, which those are the only checks that were received. But I have no reason to believe that they did not receive other funds.
They got money wired to them, correct?
Well, the wire that I saw was from the sale of the house.
No, but there was other, in all the records you reviewed, they got money wired from the Gardners to themselves, not just checks, correct?
I actually don't recall seeing a wire from them.
You're not suggesting to this jury that they got two checks for $75,000.
No, their lifestyle was funded by the Gardners.
And let's back up a little bit. Let's back up. Jared Bridegan was married to Shanna Gardner, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he didn't work when he was married to Shanna Gardner, did he?
As it was reported, that's correct.
He lived off of the Shanna Gardner trust money, correct?
Yes.
because you know through your investigation that the Shanna Gardner family paid their children for all sorts of reasons, educational reasons, and as part of their trust fund money, right?
Yes, sir.
And you pointed out a big transfer from the sale of the home of $382,000. Do you recall when I asked you on direct examination how much Mr. Bridegan got when Miss Gardner sold the home?
I don't recall the figure, but there was an amount he received.
$390,000 that Mr. Jared Bridegan received, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so no different that Mr. Bridegan received hundreds of thousands of dollars via the Gardner family, right?
Correct.
Okay, so in this trust, you were able to learn that not only did Shanna Gardner get money, the Gardners also gave their other children money, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so there's no disagreement that the extremely wealthy Gardner family gave their children money, right?
No.
And did you make sure that it was clear, and I will if you didn't, the $75,000 checks dated 12/21, Shanna Gardner got $75,000, right?
75,000 went into the trust and 75,000 went into Mr. Fernandez's account.
Right, from the Gardner money.
Yes.
And the purpose of the trust was so that her money was protected, right?
Yes.
And you said that you were a financial planner here in town. You have your own business, right?
Yes.
So you certainly are aware that wealthy people give their children money, right?
Yes.
For tax reasons, right?
Various reasons.
To lower their inheritance tax, right?
There's several reasons, yes.
Dozens of reasons why really wealthy people start trusts for their children, right?
Yes.
So let's just globally talk about a few more things. That trust document that says that Shanna Gardner can be the trustee of her own trust if she so elects, if she doesn't have any entanglements with Jared Bridegan, does it say anything about Mario Fernandez?
No, it does not.
So in fact, if she has no entanglements with Jared Bridegan, she gets to control the trust, right?
That's correct.
Mr. Fernandez is already in control of the trust, right?
Yes.
He is the trustee, okay? Right?
Yes.
So let's now talk about what Mr. Fernandez had prior to the homicide.
I don't know. You don't have 1,000 note. Again, it's like 800 American. No, 1,000 is like $200 or something like that. They removed the 1,000 note in Denmark because it's only people who do bad stuff that had that laying around. I love these modern days where they want to do everything electronically, or you have to feel like you're a drug dealer.
I'll stand here. Can you publish this? Can you zoom out? Can you see this, Detective?
Yes, sir.
This would be from the same records that you were talking about from states 170, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is a Navy Federal account, right?
That's correct.
This is Mr. Fernandez's personal checking accounts, right?
I can't see the titling, but the top.
Okay, sorry. There we go.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Gardner's not on this account, correct?
That's correct.
This is just his money. He can do whatever he wants with it, right?
Yes, sir.
And this is the month,
I believe it's on December 28th at the top.
December 28th to January 27th. This is before the homicide, right?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Fernandez had access to $212,000, correct?
Yes, sir.
If he wanted to do anything he wanted with that money, there's no trust that dictates what he could do. That is his money, right?
I mean, I don't know what a divorce attorney would say about that, but otherwise, yes.
They weren't getting divorced, right? So you're married, happily married people. You can just go and take whatever money you want out of your account, right?
Yes, sir.
You don't have to call a divorce attorney to do that. That's your right to do whatever you so choose with the money in your account, right?
That's correct.
You may come home and your partner may be a little upset with you, but certainly there's no law that he couldn't have done whatever he wanted with that money, right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, let's go to the next month. This is Mr. Fernandez's checking account, correct?
Yes, sir.
Same statement I showed you before, except for this is the next month, 128 to 227, correct?
That's correct.
Still has $158,000 available to him, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is the following month, right? Same accounts.
That's correct.
This is after the homicide, 228 to 327, and he had 158,000. The ending balance was 96,000, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And that was his own personal checking account.
That's correct.
Now, you suggested to the jury that he transferred $50,000. You recall that?
Yes, sir.
He transferred it to himself, correct?
You transferred it to the LLC.
First Choice Home Rentals.
Yes.
So it didn't come from the Gardner Trust, right? So if it was ever suggested to this jury that Mr. Fernandez transferred $50,000 a week after the homicide from the Gardner Trust to himself, that would not be true, would it?
I think it's a mischaracterization the way you're stating it.
And I want to make sure it's crystal clear. If it was ever represented to this jury that Mr. Fernandez transferred $50,000 from the Shanna Gardner Irrevocable Trust 1 week after the homicide to himself, that would not be true, would it?
At least part of those assets would have come from the trust, yes.
What assets came from the trust, detective? I just showed you that Mr. Fernandez had
Oh, don't do this, you dumb
$212,000.
idiot.
Then the next month he had 196,000. He had plenty of money in his own personal checking account, right?
Yes, that would have come from the trust.
We just talked about that on 12/28 he deposited $75,000 from the Gardners, right?
Yes.
It didn't come from the trust, did it?
Overall, I'm saying the amount of money that he was only making $37,000 a year.
We have to be really careful with our words.
I agree.
Money goes from the trust account to, and I'm going to walk you through it. We're not going to guess. Trust me. We're going to go through every single trust account record to see where that money went. But I'm asking you a very basic financial question. You can transfer money from the Shanna Gardner Trust to Mr. Fernandez. He could do that if he wanted to, correct?
Yes, he was the trustee.
That did not happen. That $50,000 did not come from the trust account, did it?
No, that specific transaction came from his account.
Right. And let's say on December 28th, Mr. Fernandez got $75,000. That could have come from the irrevocable trust, hypothetically, right?
Yes.
But it didn't. And this is why I want to make sure that words matter. Shanna Gardner's parents, Shelley and Sterling Gardner, wrote him a check for $75,000 at the end of the year, right?
Yes.
That's where that money came from.
The assets are commingled.
They're not.
They wrote him a $75,000 check, and he did transfer $50,000 from his account.
Okay. We're really going to figure this out together.
Why are you trying to hide the facts? This is semantics on a level that someone else I know on YouTube tries to spin every time they get caught in another little fib. Oh, that's not kind of what I really said that I really, but it was a joke.
The Gardners live in Utah, right?
Yes.
And they're private wealth clients of Chase Bank, correct?
Yes.
Because you know that because it says it right on the check. $75,000. This is an example of the two checks that the Gardners gave them, right?
Yes, sir.
You're saying it was commingled, it all came from the same place. This came from a checkbook as a Chase private client from Shelley and Sterling Gardner, right?
Yes, sir.
From their bank account, right?
Yes, sir.
That did not come from the irrevocable trust, correct?
No, that check was, the check that you just showed me was deposited into the trust.
Right. And the identical check, with the exception of it saying Shanna Gardner, it said Mario Fernandez, right?
Yes.
And that came from the Chase private wealth management banking account of Sterling and Shelley Gardner, right?
Yes, sir.
So that didn't come from the irrevocable trust, right?
That specific $75,000 no, it did not.
Okay. And in addition to all the other money that Mr. Fernandez had, you're saying, well, it's all commingled. It came from the irrevocable trust. Isn't that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Well, 35,000 of it came from Mercedes-Benz of Jacksonville when he sold his Tesla, right?
Yes.
That didn't come from the Shanna Gardner irrevocable trust, did it?
I mean, you'd have to go back and look and see. You'd have to have a much larger picture of knowing where the Tesla was purchased from.
The check came from Mercedes-Benz of Jacksonville, right?
For an asset that was sold to them, but we don't know how that was purchased.
You don't know. So you
And
can't
you
say it
can't
came
say
from
it, you
the
idiot.
Gardner irrevocable trust, can you?
You're correct, I can't.
Right. Because you know for sure it came from Mercedes-Benz of Jacksonville, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about two things that we know for sure. $75,000 came from the Gardners personally, not the trust account, right?
That's correct.
And $35,000 came from Mercedes-Benz, right?
Yes.
So that's $110,000 right there that we know for a fact did not come from the Gardner Trust, right?
It would depend on how the Tesla was purchased. There's no way to know that with the records that we currently have.
You're saying that whenever he bought the Tesla, when did he buy the Tesla?
I don't remember exactly when it was purchased.
So you don't even know if he was married when he bought the Tesla, do you?
Off the top of my head, no.
So you're trying to insinuate that possibly it could have come, this asset could have come from money that was given to him through the trust account for an asset that you don't even know when it was purchased, right?
I'm just saying that that is a possibility versus just saying that the Tesla was his outright. And so the money that he got from Mercedes-Benz was his and did not originate from the trust or the Gardners.
Well, let's circle back.
Okay.
Let's go to the trust. Let's go to the trust account.
Mr. Dreiser, could we take a break?
Sure.
Would that be too disruptive to you?
No.
Why doesn't he just say that I don't know where the money came from, but the state really, really wants me to say that it came from the trust because that would really feed the narrative. Again, no matter who or what way he financed the Tesla, if the money went into his account that he had full access to, that no one had oversight to, it was fucking his money. And it's not like he bought it Monday and sold it Tuesday to wash the money through a Mercedes dealership. It was a car that he used and then he didn't use. I'm sorry, but this is reaching a lot of trust me, bro levels. I like Tesla. I don't know why people don't like them. Expert has a Tesla. It has that auto drive. That's really good. I worked at USAA for 12 years. I can tell you that they will shut your account down in a second if they suspect any fraud, like super fast. I had my cards blocked 2-3 years ago because someone had made some like trial purchases in Australia on 2 random websites, like 50 cents and $1 amount. And then they shut it down because they said that's an indication that they are like, okay, there's money on this. We're going to try get a big amount through now. But so I lost like $1.50 or something on it. The worst part was it took them 8 weeks to make me a new bank card. So I had to, and I was getting one of my legs tattooed at the same time. And that's pretty pricey when you have to get tattooed. And I didn't have a bank card, so I couldn't pay with my card because I didn't have any. And I couldn't, you can't just withdraw money in a bank like you used to. So I had to go down there, and then the bank teller had to make a little transfer into a special he had a card for, and then go out in the cash machine and pull out that money. And then I was walking around with 4,000 or 5,000 Danish. That's a substantial amount. I don't want to walk around with that. I'll keep enough money that if I get in trouble, I can be safe. But I won't. I don't like carrying around 4,000 or 5,000 Danish. That's a couple of $100. That's not nice when you have, and you have to go there, and if anyone is scouting out the bank, they can see this guy going out, putting the card in, getting a wad of cash, then going in and give it to me. I always hated that because I could get fucking robbed outside. I agree, Tesla sucks when I can gas up my car within 2-3 minutes and my buddy has to charge his for what seems forever. Dude, we are stuck in the town for 2 hours when it was quick grocery run. Well, again, for my driving needs, I drove my car last Tuesday. That's the last time I had to go to a garage and set up a service appointment I have to go to this week. That's the last time I drove my car. It wouldn't, and I don't do long drives, so it would be, especially with gas prices. Again, we pay $10 a gallon in Denmark, so getting electric would substantially benefit me because it's maybe 3-5 times a year I do longer trips. So I don't care if I have to get a cup of coffee at McDonald's. My brother have had an ID4, the Volkswagen, for the last 4 years, I think. And he uses it to commute all the time, and it's just a planning thing. I like electrics. But again, if you drive a lot, and especially in America where you might not have the infrastructure to do it, it's different than it's in. And I'm on the third floor. I can't have a house connected. So I can't do my own power, but there's a parking spot not that far away where I can just plug it in and then go down an hour later and remove it. It's not a big problem for me. But that's, again, if you have the infrastructure, electric makes sense. We drove my brother came from over here with my daughter, and we had to drive to my other brother over on another island, and I met with them and we drove together. And we did like 15 minutes. Just when you're doing longer drives, you have a pee break and a coffee break anyway, so you just charge it at that point, and I don't think it's such a big problem. It's kind of like in the olden days where cars didn't have that good gas mileage, and you would stop and have a sandwich and a cup of coffee. I have no problem with electrics. I would do a hybrid, but not just electric. My brother used to have the what's it called, the Volkswagen. Oh, I can't remember what it was. He had a hybrid before, but Lego is really good at. They have special places where you can plug your car in while you're working, and he had like 50 kilometers. So, and he had a home charger. So he just that made way more sense. He saved a shit ton of money transferring. Look up a 2021 Tesla incident in Spring, Texas. Ran into a tree and the battery kept reigniting as the sap from the tree kept dripping into the battery. Yeah, that's the biggest problem. It's hard to put out the batteries, but whenever a car catches on fire, it'll burn down as well. Drove 3 hours to Maine and 3 hours back on Saturday. Well, I don't know how far it is, but probably in a bigger, you could do that drive, and then while you were in Maine, you could plug it in and probably be able to drive it back. I think my brother's car goes from 0 to 80 if he fast charges it in like 20 minutes or something like that, 40 minutes maybe. But I like them. But again, it's because they have all this new technology and
All right. Welcome back, members of the jury. Everyone may be seated.
I only drove one automatic in my life, and that was when I rented a car in America. That's the only automatic I've ever driven. So I don't even know how to drive an electric car because they're automatic.
Mr. Dry, sir, you can continue.
What's the number? Okay. We're working through some bank records, trying to figure out money, correct?
Okay.
You've reviewed lots of stuff in order to make findings as to where you think money came from, right?
I don't understand the question.
You had access to review lots of documents so you could try to get a better understanding of how the Fernandez family, the Gardner family, and the Gardner wealthy family out in Utah, how they move money. That was part of the job of you trying to figure that out, right?
Not necessarily, no.
What did you?
Yeah, everyone in most countries in Europe will drive stick shift unless you have an automatic. An automatic is an option that you will have to pay extra to have installed in your car. Everyone is trained. I think now you can train in an automatic because of the electric cars, but everyone who does driving lessons have to learn how to drive shift, because everyone can then figure out how to drive a an automatic after that, because you just put it in drive and hit the pedal. The biggest problem is that when I was driving, because we have our left foot on the clutch, and there's no clutch in an automatic, so you'll use your clutch foot on the brake pedal because you're like, oh, I have to hit the clutch, and then you'll just slam the brakes because your clutch foot is way heavier than your speeder and brake foot. So everyone knows how to drive stick in Europe.
You've been testifying to for the last hour and a half.
I received bank statements for a specific period of time that show a picture of a certain thing, but what you're describing is much larger than what was actually done.
Okay. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm showing you what's been labeled and admitted into evidence as defense 2.
American cars will be made in Europe. That's why we can't get, for instance, like your muscle cars, they will have a lower horsepower engine because of emission standards. So they will be European made, and with, again, you will have to buy it as an optional extra to have a automatic.
This will help us figure out where the money came from. Do you you know that Mr. and Mrs. Fernandez had a prenuptial agreement?
No, I've actually not seen this.
No one showed you their prenuptial agreement?
No.
So you're seeing it for the first time?
Yes.
Okay, and one of the disputes that we were just trying to reconcile is whether the Mercedes-Benz money from the Tesla, you were saying, well, it could have circulated back through money that came from the trust. And I was saying, well, you don't know that. And then you answered how you answered. Do you remember that exchange?
Yes.
Okay. In a premarital agreement, you've seen those through your work, right?
Yes.
In premarital agreements, people put some of their assets that they owned before the marriage.
That's correct.
You're not unfamiliar with that policy, right?
That's correct.
Sorry. You agree with me? I'm still reading from the premarital agreement, right?
Yes, sir.
And then this is where Schedule 1, Mario's separate property is. You see that?
Okay.
Do you see it?
Yes.
It says Mario's motor vehicles, correct?
Yes, it does.
And what does it say that Mr. Fernandez owned before he even got into the marriage?
A Toyota Tacoma valued at $32,000 and a Tesla Model S valued at $47,000.
Okay. And the $35,000 that came from Mercedes-Benz was because he sold that Tesla S, correct?
Yes.
So now we know that that did not come from the Shanna Gardner trust or anything to do with the Gardners, because we know it was a premarital asset before he even met Ms. Gardner, correct?
Yes.
I just need a moment in between. I want to keep these papers organized, Judge.
No problem.
All right. So you testified that Mr. Fernandez, in the month of April, moved, he had about $4,000 or $5,000 in first choice home rentals in the month of March, right?
Okay.
You said that.
I see the statement you're referring to.
Sure. It's the month before the $50,000 gets moved. It had a balance of 4, 5, 6, 7,000, right?
Somewhere around there, yes.
Okay. And then Mr. Fernandez transferred $50,000 from his own personal account into first choice home rentals, right?
Yes.
But then we also know that that month he bought a $15,000 AC unit for the Potomac address from Bueller Air Conditioning, correct?
Yes.
So he had to transfer money into First Choice Home Rentals or the check would have bounced, correct?
Yes.
And you don't know if Mr. Fernandez knew exactly how much that AC was going to be, right?
I would imagine that there was some type of talk about price prior to, but
Maybe an estimate, right?
yes.
Right. And you don't want to bounce a check ever, right?
No.
Especially if you have plenty of money in one account, there's no reason not to move over to another account to make sure you cover your costs for that month. That's just good financial planning, isn't it?
Yes.
And he also wrote Mr. Tenen $10,000 worth of checks the next month, correct?
Yes.
So besides the $15,000 approximate payment to Bueller and the $10,000 that he paid to Mr. Tenen, that's $25,000 right there, right?
Yes.
And then you said later he moved another.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
2 payments of $5,000 back to the original personal banking account, correct?
They were transferred back. Yes.
Right. So when you said, I don't know, I can't think of a reason why he would do that, he overpaid himself from one account to another account to cover monthly expenses. He excess paid what the monthly expenses were, right?
I wouldn't characterize that. No.
How could you characterize it any different? He put $50,000 into an account and he didn't spend $50,000 that month, did he?
No, he did not.
So he overextended additional funds that weren't needed. You agree with that?
Typically, when you deposit funds from a personal account into a business account, you're making a contribution to your company, and you would receive, we're getting into taxes here, but basically the basis of your company would increase. So you would keep that money the way it is.
Or you could move it back.
Or you could move it back.
And then you just adjust your bookkeeping for the month. That's all that is required there, right?
Yes.
You don't pay taxes monthly. So if he overpaid the account to cover expenses and then he moved the money back, he just moved it right back from where it came from, correct?
It would be unusual to do that, but yes, that's correct.
Unusual to you?
To most people who have a business and conduct different books for their business, yes.
And you know that from your training and experience as a police officer or from your financial planning?
From my financial planning and the tax firm that I own as well.
Okay. And with that information, you think that because he moved excess funds and then moved them right back to the very account, there's something suspicious about that?
I didn't say it was suspicious.
It's just unusual.
Unusual.
Not suspicious.
Your words.
Not suspicious.
It is an unusual transaction.
That you characterize as not suspicious.
It's unusual.
Nonetheless, when you do all of the things that we're just talking about, there's a complete bank record of it, right?
Yes, there is.
Nothing is hidden because all you have to do is subpoena the bank and it showed every single one of these transactions, unusual or not, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So around the same time period, there is the Shanna Gardner irrevocable trust, right?
Yes, sir.
This is the trust account, also from States 170.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Top left corner, the Shanna Gardner irrevocable trust.
Yes, sir.
This is prior to the homicide, 11/28 to 2/27.
Yes.
This has an ending balance of $178,000.
Yes, sir.
Identify for me anywhere in this statement. Would you like me to bring it to you?
No, that's right. I can see that.
Identify for me anywhere in this statement where Mr. Fernandez transferred one single penny to himself.
Well, that's just the balances there.
That's why I asked. You want to see the whole statement?
Sure.
He's really not doing well, is he?
There are two transfers of one for 1,800, one for 1,500 that are transferred to a checking account. Unfortunately, the way that these statements are drafted, it doesn't say which account that it went into.
Okay. Except you've already told this jury that those two accounts were designated for AB and LB, the ones that you just read that from, correct? You asked, Mr. Mizrahi asked you, and you said the two sub-accounts were designated for AB and LB, correct?
I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying the statement does not show which account the money was transferred into. It just shows that there was a transfer of $1,800 and one of $1,500.
Detective, do you still stand by that the accounts that you're referring to are for LB and AB?
You're asking two different questions. Your initial question was, do I see any transfers on the statement?
No. I asked you see any transfers, one single penny to Mr. Fernandez was my question.
And as I'm saying here, and I'll gladly show you, there are two transfers, one of 12-1 and 12-15, to a checking account. It does not state which checking account they were transferred to.
You're talking about the highlighted.
Yes.
The one, so you're acknowledging to me that you should show me. I highlighted them and sent them to you, correct?
Yes, you did.
Fair enough that I probably know that they're on there.
Yeah.
Can I see it? So let's show the jury so they can see. Back to the same statement, the highlighted portions that I sent over to you. In that particular month, there are two transfers, 1,800 and 1,500, and you're saying that you don't know that those are for the benefit of LB and AB?
According to the document that you're showing me, it does not state the account that they were transferred into.
Any reason to believe they went to Mr. Fernandez?
I don't know where they went based upon the document you're showing me.
Okay, so as you sit here today as the lead detective in this case, you don't have any evidence that one single penny went to Mario Fernandez?
No, so that is not at all what I said.
Okay, tell the jury, what evidence do you have that one single penny went to Mario Fernandez?
Are you talking about the totality of
No.
are you talking about the statement? What are you referring to?
This $1,800 and this $1,500.
Okay.
If it went to Mr. Fernandez, you have all of Mr. Fernandez's accounts, detective. You would know exactly if it went into Mr. Fernandez's accounts, wouldn't you?
By looking at other statements, yes.
Do you have any reason to believe that that went into Mr. Fernandez's accounts?
I don't know.
Okay, so the answer is you don't know if any money went to Mr. Fernandez, but can we at least agree if it did, it would be less than $4,000?
Based upon the one statement you're showing me, yes.
I'm talking about, yeah, one statement, just this month, right?
Yes.
Okay. This is the next month, correct?
Yes, sir.
Irrevocable trust, 12/28/127, right?
Correct.
This is the month that the balance goes up, right?
Yes, sir.
It doesn't go down, it goes up, meaning there was more deposits than withdrawals, right?
That's correct.
This is the next page. We don't have to guess why it went up. This was the month that the checking account recognized the $75,000 check that Ms. Gardner got from her parents, right?
That's correct.
Okay. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, you may throughout.
Can you show me on this statement, the following month, where one single penny went from this account to Mr. Fernandez?
There is not one.
Would you agree with me? This is the next month. Shanna Gardner, irrevocable trust. Can you see that?
Would you mind pulling it down just here for me? Yep, thank you. Yes.
128 to 227.
Yes, sir.
I haven't skipped any months, have I?
Nope.
You see the balance?
Yes, sir.
253,000?
Yes.
Bless you.
Can you tell the jury if there's any evidence that Mr. Fernandez got one single penny from the irrevocable trust?
Well, there are no withdrawals. You can tell that right here.
There are no withdrawals, so you know that Mr. Fernandez did not get one single penny.
There were no withdrawals, correct.
Right. So the answer is he got zero pennies.
On that statement, that's correct.
I've shown you three statements so far. One statement, there was a $1,500 and an $1,800 withdrawal, and you don't even know where that went. That's where we're at, right?
Based upon the statement you showed me, that's correct.
Do you think that there's a part of the statement I didn't show you?
The statement does not state where the transaction went to.
Right. So you don't know. I didn't mischaracterize that, right?
You're doing really, really poorly. At this
You don't
point,
know where that $1,500 and $1,800 went, right?
Based on the statement, no. I answered the question at least 3 times.
That's when I said you don't know. I thought you would just agree with me. So now you're at the next monthly statement, Detective. Shanna Gardner irrevocable trust,
Yes.
228 to
Hey, Nina
327.
Canadian.
I think that's the one we just looked at. Must be a duplicate. Nope. I'm sorry, this is right. This is the month of the homicide, correct?
Pull down the statement for me a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is post the homicide. The last statement was during the homicide, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're on track. I haven't skipped anything. Shanna Gardner's irrevocable trust.
no, and he's getting more of an attitude the more, again, you can say whatever, and my big problem is why would this guy do it to this guy without this guy in the middle? Because he is the connection. But they're doing a pretty good job at poking holes in everything the state has said they will prove. Because there are no proof of what they said in their opening statements, that he withdrew money from the trust to himself.
228 to 327. You see it?
Yes, sir.
Show the jury, please, if Mr. Fernandez got one single penny from the irrevocable trust.
There is a $1,500 transfer. There again, the statement does not indicate what checking account it was transferred into.
So if he did get a penny, it's $1,500, and you agree as you sit here, you have no idea whether he got it or anybody else in the world got it.
The statement doesn't state what checking account it was transferred into.
Just say yes.
But you have all of Mr. Fernandez's checking accounts for that exact same time period, right?
Yes, I do.
So you would be able to find out in 2 seconds if that went to Mr. Fernandez, couldn't you?
Yes.
It's the next month. Shanna Gardner irrevocable trust, 328 to 427. You agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Didn't skip a month?
No.
Can you please tell the jury if there's evidence that Mr. Fernandez, the month after the homicide, received one single penny from the irrevocable trust?
There was a $1,000 transfer into a checking account.
You don't know who got it, right?
Not without looking at the corresponding statements.
Even if Mr. Fernandez got every single checking transfer that you've identified, we're not even close to $50,000, are we?
No, sir.
We haven't even breached 10,000, have we?
No.
And this is the irrevocable trust, irrevocable trust dated 428 to 527, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you told the jury that Mr. Fernandez and Ms. Gardner had separated at this point?
I believe so, yes.
And where did all the money go?
The money that is in the $257,000 accounts went to new accounts for the kids, just under Miss Gardner's name. And I know there's a distribution of the rest of the assets, but I couldn't tell you exactly where from the statement.
Any reason to believe that Mr. Fernandez got any of it?
I don't recall exactly how much he got.
The vast, vast majority, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, all went to Ms. Gardner, correct?
Yes, sir.
Any evidence that Mr. Fernandez ever got $50,000 from the irrevocable trust
Directly?
this time period?
No.
Certainly not a week after the homicide. We've gone through all those statements, right?
Yes.
You haven't been able to identify that Mr. Fernandez moved $50,000 from the irrevocable trust to himself 1 week after the homicide. That's for sure. You have not been able to do that as you sit here this afternoon, correct?
Not based upon those statements, no.
Are there any other statements that I'm not showing you of the irrevocable trust, detective?
No.
And again, this is the following month of the irrevocable trust, 5/28 to 6/27. And now it's down to about $10,204.
Yes. Sorry.
That's consistent with all of the money being transferred to Ms. Gardner, correct?
Yes.
It never goes back into the irrevocable trust account at Navy Federal. The money never gets back in there, correct?
No.
And it never goes to Mr. Fernandez, correct?
The statement you showed, no.
There are no statements that show the money ever going to Mr. Fernandez, correct?
No.
And you know that because you showed the jury that Miss Gardner would regularly have like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in her account when she was in the marriage to Mr. Fernandez, right?
Yes, that's correct. It was a small amount.
And then after Mr. Bridegan died, now we're talking big money, right? Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars got transferred from the account that Mr. Fernandez controlled to Ms. Gardner herself, right?
Yes.
And you have no evidence that Mr. Fernandez was ever on any of the accounts that Ms. Gardner set up when she moved, right?
That's correct.
And you also know that when Mr. Fernandez got arrested, okay, Ms. Gardner had about $500,000 in her bank account, correct?
Something about that, yes. So she had access, not necessarily on her account specifically, but yes, she had access to a significant amount of money.
Way more than she had when she was married to Mr. Fernandez, right?
Yes.
And Mr. Fernandez, in all of his accounts added up when he got arrested, he had about $70,000, correct?
I thought it was closer to 80, but about there.
I'll give it to you, $80,000. Significantly less money that he had during the course of the marriage, correct?
That he had access to.
That he had access to, right?
Yes.
So Mr. Fernandez didn't get richer, he got poorer, right?
Yes.
Because he's divorcing and separating from the Gardner family. He's no longer getting annual gifts, right?
I would not have a way of knowing that.
You do have a way of knowing it because you reviewed their bank records. He no longer got any annual gifts from the Gardners, detective, correct?
I don't know what he does and doesn't get anymore.
Okay. But you do know what went into his bank account, and you know he had substantially less money at the time he got arrested, correct?
Yes.
And he was living with his brother in Orlando, nowhere near Mrs. Gardner, correct?
Yes.
So now let's talk about the checks that Mr. Tenen received, right?
Okay.
There were 3 of them. You agree with that?
Yes, sir.
And they were checks that were at the end of March, and one was in early April, right?
The checks were all given to him at the same time.
Well, they weren't cashed at the same time,
That's correct.
right? So you weren't there when the checks were exchanged, correct?
I wasn't, no.
Okay. And just because the check stubs were in his truck, you don't know that they were given to him at the same day. You're just making that assumption, correct?
It would be highly unusual that the 3 check stub would still be intact and the checks were not given to him.
15 days in the month of February. Less money at the time he got arrested, correct?
Yes.
I don't know why it skipped.
$70,000, correct?
I thought it was closer to 80, but about there.
I'll give it to you, $80,000. Significantly less money that he had during the course of the marriage, correct?
That he had access to.
That he had access to, right?
Yes.
So Mr. Fernandez didn't get richer, he got poorer, right?
Yes.
Because he's divorcing and separating from the Gardner family. He's no longer getting annual gifts, right?
I would not have a way of knowing that.
You do have a way of knowing it because you reviewed their bank records. He no longer got any annual gifts from the Gardners, detective, correct?
I don't know what he does and doesn't get anymore.
Okay. But you do know what went into his bank account, and you know he had substantially less money at the time he got arrested, correct?
Yes.
And he was living with his brother in Orlando, nowhere near Mrs. Gardner, correct?
Yes.
So
Yeah,
now
I
let's
skipped
talk
backwards
about
because it skipped forward.
the checks that Mr. Tenen received, right?
Okay.
There were 3 of them. You agree with that?
Yes, sir.
And they were given, checks that were at the end of March, and one was in early April, right?
The checks were all given to him at the same time.
Well, they weren't cashed at the same time,
That's correct.
right? So you weren't there when the checks were exchanged, correct?
I wasn't, no.
Okay. And just because the check stubs were in his truck, you don't know that they were given to him at the same day. You're just making that assumption, correct?
It would be highly unusual that the 3 check stub would still be intact and the checks were not given to him all at the same time.
Unless, as you know, owning your own business, managing other people's businesses, that you can rip one check out, then a second check, and then when the 3rd check comes, you just tear all 3 out and hand it to him. You know that's exactly what can happen, right, detective?
I have never seen that happen before.
Of course you haven't, but in this case, you weren't there when Mr. Fernandez ripped the checks out.
No, it was not.
And although they're on different dates, not one single one of them was cashed the same day, correct?
I think 2 were cash, excuse me, I apologize. 2 of them were deposited the same day. I think one of them went on hold and then the other one was deposited later.
Okay. So at that time, let's just get some perspective here. The homicide was February 16th, 2022, right?
Yes, sir.
This is a murder for hire, a solicitation. That's what the jury's trying to figure out here, right?
Yes, sir.
What evidence of checks or payments do you have that Mr. Fernandez paid Mr. Tenen in November of 2021?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
What evidence of payments do you have that Mr. Fernandez paid Mr. Tenen any money in November of 2021?
There were statements made that indicated that one of them was a payment.
There were 3 payments in March, 2 payments in March and 1 in April. I'm asking you of November of 2021.
There was no payments made that I'm aware of.
No payments from Mr. Fernandez to Mr. Tenen in November of 2021. You agree with me?
Yes.
There are no payments that you have any evidence of between Mr. Fernandez to Mr. Tenen in December of 2021, correct?
Unless there was some cash exchange, there's no evidence of that.
You don't have evidence that the cash was exchanged, do you?
No.
What evidence, and you have no evidence, that any financial transactions occurred between Mr. Fernandez and Mr. Tenen in January of 2022, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So that's the 3 months preceding the homicide, right?
Yes.
And then there's 16 days in the month of February. You have no evidence that Mr. Fernandez paid Mr. Tenen one single nickel in the 16 days preceding the homicide, do you?
Correct.
Okay. So far, you've agreed with me that Mr. Fernandez hasn't paid Mr. Tenen one single penny prior to the homicide, correct?
Unless it was a cash payment. That's correct.
You have no evidence of, right?
Correct.
So now there's the second half of February, and you have no evidence of any payments that Mr. Fernandez gave Mr. Tenen post the homicide that month, correct?
That's correct.
Then the next month is March. In the month of March, that's when there's all sorts of media articles about this case, correct?
Yes, sir.
The blue truck is released to the media. I think you told this jury March 9th, correct?
That was a little later in March, but it was in March.
Sometime in mid-March, right?
Yes.
That's when, if you were Mr. Tenen and you owned a blue truck, you could be on notice if you were watching the news that they may be looking for you, correct?
That's correct.
And it's that same month that Mr. Fernandez writes a check to Mr. Tenen, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you would agree with me that a check has got to be the most identifiable form of payment that almost exists on planet Earth, right?
Yes, sir.
You have to write your name on it. You have to sign it. It comes from your account. It goes into the person who deposits its account. All the information we have is right there for anyone to look at when you write somebody a check, correct?
That's correct.
And then there's memo lines on the check. And the memo lines are for keeping up with the roof on one and landscaping clearing on another, correct?
That's correct.
And you know, as the chief or the lead investigator in this case, that Sonny Fong, 11 months after the homicide, called Mr. Fernandez, correct?
Yes,
And in that call, he asked if he knew Mr. Tenen, and he said that he did, right?
that's correct.
He didn't deny knowing him, right?
No,
Mr. Fernandez's phone records indicate that he's having communications with Mr. Tenen in January and February and March, correct?
yes, sir.
So in the conversation, Mr. Fernandez acknowledges, I paid that guy to do some work for me, right?
I believe you made some kind of comment about him. Yes,
I mean, it'll stand for itself, but as the chief lead detective in this case, you've heard that call. It's in evidence, right?
yes, sir.
And Mr. Fernandez says, I had him do some tree work for me, right?
Correct.
That's on the memo line, right?
Yes,
He said, I had him help me with the roof, right?
yes,
That's on the memo line, right?
yes,
No one in law enforcement has any reason to believe that Mr. Fernandez knew he was being recorded on that line, correct?
that's correct.
Everyone has spoken to Mr. Fong in this case, and he's testified. He said he had no reason to believe he was being recorded on that call, right?
That's correct.
So Mr. Fernandez would have to, 11 months after the homicide, on an unrecorded phone call, or a recorded phone call that he's unaware of, he just happens to identify exactly what he paid Mr. Tenen for via check.
I can't say why Mr. Fernandez said that.
But you do know that Mr. Tenen did legitimate work for Mr. Fernandez. Your investigation revealed that fact, didn't it?
It was stated that the work was done, yes.
At that time, in March, Mr. Fernandez had he had access to hundreds of thousands of dollars, correct?
Yes, sir.
$5,000 isn't a great deal of money to Mr. Fernandez at that time, is it?
No, sir.
And in that period of time, he writes him a check, Kickstarter, good luck, right?
That's correct.
You learned through your investigative efforts that Mr. Tenen wanted to start his own pallet company, right?
There were some records that indicated that.
And I'm going to represent to you that it's in evidence that a week before Mr. Fernandez wrote those checks, Mr. Tenen Googled business plans. Did you know that?
I know there was some Googling of that. I don't remember the exact time frame.
Ms. Day, we went through the notepad where he wrote in his business plan. We already did that exchange, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll show you the Google in a minute. I just got to find it. It's not in ours. It is. Give me 1 second. You right?
I don't know whether he actually,
And it was no secret that Mr. Tenen wanted to start his own pallet company, right?
I don't know whether he actually wanted to start a pallet company or not.
He wasn't making a whole lot of money in the pallet business, was he?
No, he was not.
It's not uncommon that a person who isn't doing well financially would want to do better financially, is it?
No,
Mr. Tenen had decades of experience in the pallet business, correct?
I don't know specifically how much. But I would say that he had some experience in the pallet business.
You went and interviewed people at Modison Pallets, didn't you? You and your team?
My team did, yes.
Yeah, and he was a good employee, wasn't he?
Yes,
And he had been there a long time.
yes,
Fair to say Mr. Tenen knew a few things about pallet work.
that's probably true.
And then it just happens to be that on the poll camera footage, a pallet truck pulls up to the Potomac address and stops. We went through that exercise, didn't we?
Yes,
And then when you took photos of the Potomac address, when you guys searched it, there was stacks of pallets next to the house, weren't there?
I don't recall that. I'm not saying that there wasn't, but I don't recall it.
I'll show you pictures in a second. And Mr. Tenen's business was taking older pallets and fixing them to make them reusable. That's what he did at Modison Pallets, correct?
Yes,
I'm showing what's defendants 58 already put in evidence. Take a second to look at all Google searches. Receive those checks?
yes,
Mr. Tenen was Googling business plans the week before he received those checks?
yes,
And then the other part of your investigation was revealed that Mr. Tenen in January, in January of 2022, Mr. Tenen didn't have a lot of money in his account. You went through that and you showed the jury that he would even have overdrawn months, correct?
yes, sir.
Okay. So that would be consistent with a person who has to go to their landlord and say, I can't afford to live here anymore, right? His bank accounts reflected that he could not afford to pay rent to Mr. Fernandez, right?
I would say the bank accounts afforded that he probably would have a hard time paying his rent.
Okay, so we agree. And that was the time that Mr. Fernandez said, again, on the Sonny phone call, I tried to work with him, but he just couldn't come up with the money, so I had to get a new tenant. So that's consistent, correct?
Yes,
Now, you know that there are ways that you can pay somebody via implied payments, meaning you don't actually pay them money, you give them value. You're aware of that, right?
Yes.
In your world, in the fancy business world that you come from, that's called sweat equity, right?
Something like that, yes.
In this case, we know that Mr. Tenon was having a hard time paying rent to Mr. Fernandez, correct?
According to what Mr. Fernandez said on the call, yes.
And according to Mr. Tenon's bank records, they're consistent with that, correct?
Yes.
You told the jury that you think the rent payment was around $800 to live at the Potomac address, correct?
Yes.
So if you didn't want to write checks, if you didn't want to have any cash exchanges, you could just let someone live at your house for free. And every month you'd get $800. That's another way to pay somebody, correct?
I don't understand the question.
If Mr. Fernandez wanted Mr. Tenon to do something illegal for him, he could have just said, why don't you stay in my house and don't pay me rent? And every month it'll be as if you got $800. That's another way to pay somebody, correct?
I mean, hypothetically speaking, yes, you could do, I guess you could do that.
But that didn't happen in this case. Mr. Tenon left, put his stuff in the garage, and Mr. Ordway moved in, correct?
And Mr. Tenon was still basically living there.
From time to time, but he also stayed at his girlfriend Peanut's house. You learned that during the investigation, didn't you?
He pretty much stayed at the time.
I showed you, and I'll do it again if I have to, but you remember when I showed you the address of what Mr. Tenon had put on the pawn shop receipts after he had moved out of Potomac?
Yes, sir.
It wasn't the Potomac address, was it?
No.
It was Peanut's address on Old Kings Avenue, correct?
Yes.
So he wasn't using the Potomac address anymore after he moved out. He was using Peanut's address.
According to the one slip, yes.
Okay, now we've gone through the month of March and those checks, and then early April, there's the $5,000 check. That's the $10,000, right?
Yes.
No checks in May, correct?
No.
No checks in June, correct? No checks in July, correct?
No.
No checks in August, correct?
That's correct.
And Mr. Tenon gets arrested in August.
That's correct.
And there's not a single jail call that you're aware of that you've heard where Mr. Tenon is griping that he never got paid to kill Jared Bridegan, correct?
Correct.
So it's your theory that although you learned that he does legitimate work for Mr. Fernandez, that there's $10,000, that's what he got to kill Jared Bridegan, correct?
Yes.
But you also learned that he did tree work and landscaping at his house, right?
There were conversations of that.
And you saw it. You saw work being performed at the house, correct?
Not by Mr. Tenon.
I mean, I showed you a video of him coming out and unloading boxes from his trunk, right?
Yes, there was a video of him unloading boxes.
But you think Mr. Fernandez pays Mr. Tenon to kill somebody, and then he calls up and he's like, come outside and unload the truck of my car. Don't you think Mr. Tenon would own Mr. Fernandez at that point?
I can't speak to Mr. Tenon's mind or what he did or didn't do as far as that's concerned.
If it was represented to this jury that Mr. Tenon should be dead to them, Mr. Tenon's not dead right now, is he?
No.
He's very much alive, isn't he?
Yes.
I have a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
I don't feel
Mr.
this.
Fernandez's accounts you talked to the jury about,
Yes, sir.
and then to show that Mr. Tenon would get cash, he would deposit cash into his account, correct?
There were cash deposits into his account.
Any reason to believe there's a single transaction where Mr. Tenon deposits $10,000 worth of cash,
No, sir.
$9,000 worth of cash,
No, sir.
$8,000 worth of cash,
No, sir.
$7,000 worth of cash,
No, sir.
$6,000 worth of cash?
They were all smaller deposits under $600.
That you have no idea where they came from, correct?
No.
Mr. Tenon was a handy guy, right?
Yes,
Not making a lot of money at Modeston Palace, correct?
that's correct.
So if he went around, he did odd jobs for people and got cash, that wouldn't shock you.
No,
Okay. So that's where that money could have come from, correct?
I don't know where the money came from, unfortunately.
You certainly don't know that it came from Mr. Fernandez, right?
Correct.
And there's no huge increase. Let's say the month that the $10,000 cash withdrawal, did you get any evidence that all of a sudden Mr. Tenon did something that was financially out of his reach, like went to Vegas for the weekend,
No, sir.
went to the Keys,
No,
took and bought himself a new car?
no,
Not a single thing that would match that a person didn't deposit cash, but all of a sudden got a huge influx of cash. You have no evidence to believe Mr. Tenon got a huge influx of cash, did you?
no.
In fact, what you do know is that Mr. Tenon owned a Ford F-150 that was blue in color, that was previously owned by his father, and he couldn't even get the timing belt fixed because he left it at Jimmy Jones's house and didn't have the money to get it fixed, correct?
That's correct.
I don't have anything further, Your Honor. I just need a minute to clean up.
Okay. Any redirect of the witness? Okay, and just give him a moment.
I will. Mr. Drysdale, I need defense too, please.
how are they gonna rehabilitate this witness, because he wasn't doing fine. He got slapped around a lot. And is this their last witness? I kind of feel this could be their last witness. Everything else has been put in there so far. The money trail is the one that should point to him as the guy because he was hired to do it. So I don't know if they... we haven't heard anything about witnesses so far, so just thought about this. Could be the last guy, the last witness they have. I'll be right back. 2 seconds. No, you can't really rehab. He was really insecure.
Detective Johns, could you explain to the jury how what they have seen is just a small snapshot of the potential financial records or financial transactions that would exist in the entire world with regard to these people?
We only collected a few months period of time that was around before and after the homicide, and it does not paint a full picture of the amount of financial benefit that someone would have received during the course of their marriage.
And are there ways that people can make financial transactions that would not appear in bank records?
Yes.
You hand each other things of value.
Yes.
Jewelry, cash, anything else.
All kinds of things that are worth something that could be sold later that aren't going to be recorded.
The bank accounts you did receive were the bank accounts that we were able to find out about in subpoena.
Yes.
Could there be other bank accounts that we never found out about?
Yes.
So it's just a small snapshot of the financial records.
That's correct.
Okay. Because the defense asked you questions about there was only the $10,000 in checks, but we also see that Mr. Tennant deposited, although not $10,000 worth of cash, hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of cash.
Yes, that's correct.
And certainly it's possible that he did handyman jobs, and it's certainly possible that he got it from Mr. Fernandez. We just don't know.
That's correct.
The defense asked you about jail calls, and are all inmate calls recorded?
I'm not sure.
Are you aware of the fact that the jail tells the inmates if they use jail calls that their calls are monitored and recorded?
Yes, that's true.
So if a defendant got on the jail calls after being told that they're being monitored and recorded and said, I'm upset I didn't get my payment for murder for hire, that person would be potentially confessing.
That's accurate.
Okay. During the review of all the records in this particular case, did you see any other $5,000 checks that this defendant wrote to any charitable organizations?
No, sir.
Any investments in any other Kickstarters?
No, sir.
Anything that could be classified as trying to help another person?
No, sir.
You saw payments to himself and to his business interests.
Correct.
Defense asked you lots of questions about whether or not the defendant got any money from the trust account. But the defendant, did he get money directly from the Gardners, meaning parents, his in-laws?
Yes.
And that was, we know, at least $75,000 because we saw that check.
That's correct.
Okay. He also got over $300,000 from the marital home.
Yes, sir.
That's a lot of money.
It is.
Let's go over with what the defense counsel spent a lot of time discussing was a prenuptial agreement. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
What is the title of this agreement?
It is a post-nuptial agreement.
Not pre,
Correct.
post.
Yes.
What's the date that the parties were married?
I actually don't remember the exact date.
Oh, it's on there.
Oh, sorry. April 13th, 2018.
April 13th, 2018. Let's look at page 12. The execution of that document.
October 15th, 2019.
That's way after their marriage date.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any idea what cars were transferred in the first 18 months of that agreement, or 14 months, 16 months?
No, sir.
Could have been the Tesla.
It could have.
Mario's bank accounts. Can you read those into the records that was written in the post-nuptial agreement?
USAA $1,463.37, and then 2 Navy Federal accounts, one for $3,552.32, and the other for 4,000. It's either a 3 or an 8, 44.22.
And then back to that page 1 of defense 2. Can you read into a record the incomes of Mario Enrique Fernandez and Shanna Gardner?
Mario Fernandez is indicated that he's self-employed and makes approximately $28,000 a year. And Shanna Gardner also indicates that she's self-employed and makes approximately $36,000 a year.
I think you explained this, but I want to give you an opportunity to make it more clear. Why, in your opinion, did Mr. Tinnen receive the 3 checks on the same day, even though he deposited them on separate days?
My objection is to improper opinion.
Okay.
I think this is directly in response to cross-examination questions.
Respond to the objection, though. What's the foundation for the opinion?
He crossed him on whether or not it was the same day. He crossed him. I mean, he crossed him on this.
I'll allow you to rephrase then.
Explain to this jury how the check stubs were recovered in Henry Tennant's Fiat trunk.
The check stubs or the checks in general are a business style printed page check. There's 3 checks to a page typically, and there's stubs. The stubs were found intact inside Mr. Tennant's truck.
And those have been made in evidence, so the jury will get to see it. We talked a little bit on cross-examination about the surreptitious phone call between this defendant and Mr. Fung.
Yes, sir.
And nowhere in that call does the defendant indicate that he gave $5,000 to Henry Tennant as a Kickstarter.
No, sir.
That's not mentioned.
No.
That's all the questions I have.
Anything further for this witness?
Is that okay, Ron?
Okay.
In that post-nuptial agreement, Mr. Fernandez, it was stated that he made $36,000 a year when they signed that post-nuptial agreement. Is that correct?
28,000.
28,000?
Yes, sir.
You agree with me that would be $28,000 more than Jared Bridegan made during the course of his marriage to Shanna Gardner, correct?
Okay. I'll sustain it.
No further questions?
You want to be heard? I'll hear it sidebar.
Okay, thank you.
Did they rehab him? Did they get back to it? I'm sorry, I got a phone call. What happened? What? Do we need to go back and see it? We don't have evidence, but it happened. Did he go to proctor school? Sounds like it. Oh, no rehab. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got a phone call, so I had to go. It happens sometimes. But what do we think? Is this going to be the last witness? What else can they bring in? We had the ME. Well, he doesn't really have anything to do with the ME. I don't know. Are they going to bring the lady in with the high hair? Are they going to bring in the felon with the 8 outstanding felony charges? No, not 8 outstanding. Several outstanding felonies and 8 counts of child abuse. I'm like, we've had the tool markings with the gun. What else do we need? I think this could maybe potentially be one in chat if you think this is the last witness. I don't know. I don't know. Because I'm a little I can't see what the hell else they can bring in unless they have someone who heard a conversation, and we know they didn't have that. The only thing they can kind of infer is through that lady who said that that he might have said something that she heard that from Shana. I don't know. Haley, it's not that late. It's 9 o'clock. Yeah, you're in Britain, right? I think you're in Britain. 10 o'clock here. I don't have. Yeah, maybe. 2 for hopefully. Yeah, 69. It's just, I don't know what we haven't seen yet, unless there is any text messages, any phone calls, and we know there are no text messages because he just asked this guy, and he was the lead investigator, and he said, nope, no such thing exists. So all they're basing it on is 3 checks, 3,000, 2,000, and 5,000. That's the only way to connect. They couldn't even try and pin the 40 mil, the 10 mil to Tenon. Well, I don't have that much stamina. That's why I start later. And I have to be up and do a night stream tonight. I think. I'll probably do it late.
Wait, one moment.
11:30.
So just for the record, I'm allowing Mr. Dreiser to rephrase his question. Go ahead.
In the postnuptial agreement, Mr. Fernandez did in fact have an income, correct?
Yes, sir.
And when Jared Bridegan was married to Miss Gardner, he did not have an income, correct?
I'm not aware of any jobs he did or didn't work.
You already answered my question earlier. You said you knew that he did not work when he was married to Miss Gardner.
I know that the Gardners provided income and education expenses for their children and their spouses.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right, may the witness be excused, or you want to?
I have to ask one more
Okay,
question.
go ahead.
Were you aware that Mr. Bridegan was in school during the marriage and learning?
Yes, sir.
That's all the questions I have.
May the witness be excused.
Yes.
No recall?
Oh, he is subject to recall.
Okay. Stay in contact with the lawyers.
Yes, ma'am.
And call your next witness.
Your Honor, the state rests.
All right.
Fucking told you.
Members of the jury, the state of Florida has rested its case. That's going to require me to have a meeting with the attorneys outside of your presence. And right now, we'll call it 4 o'clock.
Let's do. We're not that many here. I don't want to put up a full poll and do that. It'll help with engagement. One in chat, if you think that there's actually, I know it won't happen, but if you actually would consider a direct verdict and throw it out now, because have they proven in any way that he bought Tenon to shoot the husband? One in chat, if you believe there could be that there should be a direct verdict, and 2, if you believe no, it's clear that the state have proven that this must go to the jury. Because I'm not going to influence you. But so far, I have a hard time. Again, I'm not going to influence you, and then I start going and influencing you. again, you have Tennant, who allegedly shot the victim, Bridegan. There's no connection between these two. Then you have Mario, who is married to his ex-wife, but is getting separated from her. And Tennant, who lives in his house and might have done odd jobs for him. To me, that's because I can't see how you can do. I can't see how you can do this one without having to do this one. So to me, that'll be okay. There must be some connection. Oh, look at those daddy trained forearms today. Look at all that muscle. But there's no way I can square this round hole. I just can't get these two to why should he do it, especially because he didn't rob him. So as a human being where we try to make puzzle pieces fit, you have to have him connected some way. You can then say, well, maybe it was Shana who did it or whatever, but he is the connection. But have they proven this connection led to his death? I don't believe that. We all know there won't be a direct verdict, but at this point, and this is why I think it's kind of bullshit that they even get to make a request, because they're never granted. I've seen it granted one time in the 6 years I've been following American trials. But again, there has to be a conspiracy for him to be convicted, and I haven't seen them prove it. I'm sorry, but that's just not what I see.
So we're going to recess for your purpose. All right. And
are we going to get
reflect that the jury's left the courtroom, Mr. Dreiser?
Your Honor.
Oh, Mr. Hill, sorry.
Good afternoon. Your Honor, on behalf of Mr. Fernandez, number one, we would renew all previously filed motions with no additional argument to those motions, but this time we would be making motions to count one and count two for a judgment of acquittal. If I may, I'll take a few minutes with these. As the court is well aware, judgment of acquittal is pursuant to Rule 3.380. If the close of the evidence for the state or at the close of all evidence in the case, the court is of the opinion that the evidence is insufficient to warrant a conviction, it may, on the motion of the prosecution or the defendant, enter a judgment of acquittal. And as the the court is well aware, that standard changed in 2020 pursuant to Bush v. State 295, Southern 3rd, 179 out of the Florida Supreme Court. Whether the state presented competent, substantial evidence from which a rational trier of fact could find the existence of the elements of the crime beyond a reasonable doubt, viewing the evidence in the light most favorable to the state. So I want to start with count two, the solicitation, Your Honor. The state is required to prove the defendant commanded, encouraged, hired, or requested another person, in this case, Henry Tennant, specifically from November 1st of 2021 to February 16th of 2022, requested Henry Tennant with the present intent that the other person actually carry out the offense. As the state has in their case, it's not necessary for the defendant, Mr. Fernandez, to do anything in furtherance of the offense. However, to solicit means to ask earnestly or to induce another person to engage in that contact. So the definition of earnestly means a serious manner, not lightly, casually, or flippantly. The statute requires, there is no affirmative defense that we have alleged. However, it does require an affirmative communicative act, a command, encouragement, hiring, or request directed at another person. I would point out that the state has not submitted any evidence to the jury of that affirmative communicative act. There's been no testimony that Mr. Fernandez has said a word of encouragement, a text message, an email,
or any other act that would actually support that he solicited Henry Tenen. And I'd point to several different cases that specifically are on point, which is in order to show the present intent, and that would be the Florida Bar versus Marable, 645 Southern 2nd, 438.
Slow down. 645 Southern 2nd.
Yep, and I'm going to email those cases to you at this moment, Your Honor, as well as to the state. In that sense, so you'll have electronic copy of all case law. Bear with me, Your Honor. I'll give you that exact citation. That was 645 Southern 2nd, 438, 1994. And it was Marable, M-A-R-A-B-L-E, which establishes that present intent is required, meaning that Mr. Fernandez would have to have the present intent in addition to the solicitation and the communicative act in order to be found guilty and sustain a conviction for solicitation to commit a capital felony. In addition, Palumco, P-U-M-B-L-A-N-C-O, v. State, which is 111 Southern 3rd, 249 out of the 5th DCA, and that was 2013. In addition, State v. Gaines, 431 Southern 2nd, 736, 4th DCA, 1983. That actually established what's considered the Gaines standard. In order to support, there has to be a present intent. In that case, a particular person, their conviction was overturned when they expressed a desire for this to happen in the future, but they did not actually formalize that solicitation. And the court found that that person did not have the present intent for the crime to actually have occurred. Additionally, Your Honor, Jones v. State, 908 Southern 2nd, 615 out of the 4th DCA, which is 2005, requires guilty knowledge or mens rea on behalf of the defendant. I would just point out that there's been no witness who has testified, number one, of any evidence of the actual earnestly requested solicitation by Mr. Fernandez to Henry Tenen during the time period alleged, and simply having that relationship in and of itself with Mr. Tenen is found to be insufficient to sustain that conviction. There's no evidence of encouragement. There's no evidence that Mario Fernandez hired Henry Tenen to commit this homicide. Even in the light most favorable to the state, the checks that have been presented by way of Detective Johns and Miss Lindsay Butler are post the time period of which the state has charged Mr. Fernandez. There's been no testimony that those were actually for the homicide. There's been evidence submitted that Mr. Tenen completed legitimate work by way of the recorded phone call and the poll cameras that are in evidence as well. Additionally, with regards to count 1, as a principle, murder in the first degree, there again has been no evidence of the intent. There has to be a communicative act to show that Mr. Fernandez had an intent for this crime to occur. Having a not positive relationship, if the state were to rely on the interview of Mr. Fernandez, where he clearly states that him and Mr. Bridegan didn't have the best relationship, that in and of itself is not sufficient evidence to submit to the jury that Mr. Fernandez had the intent that Jared Bridegan be murdered. Additionally, second element, as a principle, that the defendant did some act or said something, again, a communicative act, or did some act that was intended to and did incite, cause, encourage, assist, or advise the other person or persons to actually commit the crime. There has been no evidence at all to establish Mr. Fernandez's intent. Nothing to be submitted to this jury, either for the solicitation or for the murder in first degree as a principle. As the state conceded, Henry Tenen is who they believe to have actually committed the homicide, not Mr. Fernandez. That is why they have submitted the principal instruction. Again, simply having that relationship with Mr. Tenen does not carry the day. With regards to element 2, we have heard no evidence of any incitement cause, encourage, assist, or advise the other person to actually commit the crime. And I would draw the court's attention to a case that's so close to being on point. It's in essence a man killing the husband of the woman he was having an affair, and that's Williams v. State, 314 Southern 3rd, 775. That is a first DCA case from 2021. That proof of a relationship alone with the perpetrator is not enough. There must be proof of some overt act or words uttered in furtherance of the scheme that led to the murder, and where no such evidence exists, a motion for judgment of acquittal must be granted. Under Penny v. State, which is 421 Southern 3rd, 476, out of the second DCA of 2025, in order to be a principal in a crime, one must have a conscious intent that the crime be done and do some act or say some word which was intended to and does incite, cause, encourage, assist, or advise another person to actually commit the crime. The one other point I would establish is that v. Coxwell v. State, 397 Southern 2nd, 335, 1981, establishes that both the principle for first-degree murder and solicitation both require the same communicative act in order to establish the intent, as well as with count 2, the actual solicitation. This means that solicitation charges and the principal liability charge both require the same proof of the communicative act, the act of counsel, procurement, or instigation. Where the state has submitted no evidence of that act, both charges fail simultaneously. The absence of any evidence of the communicative act, therefore, is fatal to both the solicitation charge as well as the principal liability charge. There's been no evidence submitted. I would argue contrary evidence that Mr. Fernandez had any motive to commit this crime, much less any intent that was submitted into evidence. There has been no testimony whatsoever to establish the intent element, certainly no evidence of communications that support the intent or an overt act. And mere association with or proximity to the perpetrator is insufficient to establish principle. Applies to both murder as well as, by principle and solicitation. In every Florida case, a solicitation conviction has been sustained. There has been some form of evidence of the communicative act. Draw the court's attention to Castro v. State, 939 Southern 2nd, 306, 4th DCA 2006, where an ex-husband sought to have the ex-wife murdered by a hitman. The defendant communicated with an undercover FBI agent, recorded conversations, communicating desire and intent to have the ex-wife killed. Robinson v. State, 267 Southern 3rd, 567 1st DCA 2019. Defendant clearly and repeatedly expressed present intent to commit first-degree murder. Hudson v. State, 368 Southern 3rd, 70 1st DCA 2019. Jail phone recordings providing victim's address to gang members and relief the victim had died. Those three cases are where the convictions had been sustained because of the communicative act that was recorded or ultimately testified to.
I might be familiar with the Hudson case.
That might have been your case. I didn't see that in the photo. You won't have to read that one, I suppose.
Okay.
By contrast, there has been no evidence of any communicative act by the defendant to Henry Tennant, who is charged in this case as far as the solicitation. There has been no evidence that Mr. Fernandez asked earnestly as required by the statute. No competent, substantial evidence. Maybe evidence that the defendant learned after the murder, but no evidence of prior knowledge or conscious intent. And one further argument, Your Honor, is that the state is prevented from inference stacking. The state is seeking to simply stack inferences and may get up and argue that this is somehow.
Well, it's officially drama-free week, so I don't know if anyone will, but I'll do a late-night stream and do a rundown over how well the first day in drama-free week was. But let's do that later. Right now we're doing trials, but maybe Lauren will as well.
Putting pieces of a puzzle together by way of circumstantial evidence. However, the Florida Supreme Court ruled in Baugh v. State, 961 Southern 2nd, 198 in 2007, its well-established evidentiary principle bars a criminal conviction when the fact finder must draw an inference from another inference rather than from admitted evidence, and it remains in place even after the JOA standard was changed by Bush v. State. This is not assembling pieces of a puzzle via circumstantial evidence, Your Honor. Based upon that argument in the case law, we would move for a judgment of acquittal on count 1 and count 2.
Okay. Can you give me just a moment? I'm trying to catch up. Did you send that? You sent it to my judicial assistant?
I did, Your Honor.
Can you send it to me?
I can.
Thanks. The Williams case, that's the duck hunting case.
What?
Your Honor, admittedly, I don't have your email address, but your JA just indicated she received it.
Okay.
I'll ask her.
Well, I don't know. Well, she'll send it then. Thank you.
Well, just because, again, it's the same when you're a recovering addict and someone comes over with a little guest baggie and you take an accidental bump like you do because you have to do it when it's a guest baggie. We don't judge. You might have a small slip up, but we are here to support. We are here to help. We are here to try and strengthen each other. Just like when Zach shared his story earlier, we say, good job, Zach. And there's probably been a day or two in all of this where Zach maybe have fallen off the wagon here or there. Sadly, not hard enough to hurt himself enough that I would be happy. But we support, we uplift, we are a community. It takes a village. And all I am saying is give peace a chance. While we're waiting, I can show, I already made a thumbnail for my late night show. See? It's going to be a wonderful late night show. Positivity, focus, and again, a lot of addicts will fall off the wagon, and then they'll go back on the wagon. And you have to slowly take baby steps. I'm the sweetest little so-and-so in these here chat streets. Sure. Yeah, and again, you first have to admit, okay, I need to change. And then you start the change. But I will support the change. I am here. We are fighting this fight together. Oh, I'll do it 5:30 your time. You're getting up at that time anyway. And it's not going to be drama. It's going to be supportive. It's going to be positive. Positive. Vanilla, just because you're Swedish, not everything Danish people do is drama. Just because, oh, you killed a lot of people in Stockholm. Get over it. It's not like it was yesterday. Remember when we went to see the King's Burial sound of the guy you called the tyrant, and we call, oh, good job. Y'all, isn't Baker the most lovely streamer in the world with that what a beautiful face. Well, apparently my face looks like I'm mad at the world and I want to destroy it. And I have crazy eyes.
Appreciate the defense counsel.
Okay, I'm ready to hear from the state.
Yes, Your Honor, I appreciate the defense counsel bringing up the new standard in Bush because they spend the vast majority
No, that's how you spell drama in Massachusetts.
of their argument speaking about direct evidence that's required to prove.
Dak isn't getting a wrench. He knows that. He has had one and he couldn't handle the pressure.
A particular crime. Obviously, the state has put forth a substantial amount of circumstantial evidence that proves this defendant is guilty of both charges. It begins with 1,000 different facts that distinguish it from the Williams case, including that the Williams case specifically had a co-defendant that specifically provided testimony, essentially exculpating the defendant by saying, well, she didn't really help me plan the murder. We did talk about it, but I did it on my own. In this particular case, the only link between the stipulated shooter and the victim is this defendant. It's his tenant. This defendant had a motive that we spent a lot of time putting forth evidence of. This defendant had access to the 10 millimeter firearm that was eventually potentially used in this case.
What? He had access to the firearm that potentially was used. Then he didn't have access to the firearm, you idiot. Because you don't know which firearm was used.
This defendant had a consciousness of guilt after the fact by deleting text messages and resetting his phone so things could not be discovered. This defendant's tenant went on a dry run all the way to the victim's home, all the way to the crime scene, and then back to the rental home where this defendant was. This defendant paid the stipulated shooter for what a reasonable juror could believe was payment for the homicide. Again, doesn't require specific direct evidence of the payment, merely that a rational finder of fact could find that that was paid for the homicide in context of all the payments made to all his different business ventures and those phone records, and those financial records. The outlier of Henry Tennant's $10,000 is stark and shocking, and a reasonable trier of fact could see that that was payment for the homicide. So in the totality of all the evidence, it's very distinguishable from Williams. There is competent, substantial evidence in multiple different arenas that this defendant was the link, the hub of all the spokes that ended up with this victim dead. And if the court has any specific questions or any specific things we need to talk about, I can certainly answer those questions, but I think there is competent, substantial evidence. And I'll point out that the solicitation in all those cases, the act itself didn't happen. You're just talking about it to an undercover police officer, so you have the solicitation going on. Here, the act happened, so you don't have to worry about whether or not there was an earnest ask, since the earnest ask ended up in the victim's murder.
So the defense points out that there's a lack of evidence related to, even viewing the evidence in the light most favorable to the state, of any communication for the solicitation.
Sure.
I can go down the elements, but.
Well, the communication, certainly the evidence is that he paid for it. In addition, Your Honor, this defendant had substantial contact with the tenant in the months and days leading up to this crime and after the crime. Those contacts were deleted by both parties on their phones. There is no requirement in the law that we use one co-defendant against another co-defendant as long as there's substantial competent evidence to show that the agreement happened. Your Honor knows the agreement happened, the solicitation happened, because the victim was killed by his tenant. with no link to the victim. But remember, the solicitation in a lot of those cases about the communication has to deal with situations where the ultimate act did not occur.
Okay, so I'm going back to the elements. It's commanded, comma, encouraged, comma, hired, comma, or requested.
Right.
And then,
And the only reasonable, in the state's mind, in the light most favorable to us, which is what the standard is, the only way to view the evidence that we presented is this defendant hired Henry Tennant to do this.
okay. Give me just a second. So that Williams case is a little dense. They go through a lot of
It's really dense. And it took me,
legislative history, but really what it comes down to, where the first district
Hey, Tammy.
found that the trial court erred, is that, like Mr. Mizrahi pointed out, there wasn't any, well, actually the flip co-defendant flipped back and said that there was basically, this person, Denise, did not do anything. Additionally, there was talk prior to, which they found the trial court did not err in basically letting the case go to the jury on the conspiracy, just the other two crimes.
Your Honor, I would just point out that the Williams case was specific to the principal theory.
Of first degree murder.
Correct.
Correct.
And I didn't know if you were speaking to
No,
the,
so there were a lot of things at play. There was conspiracy, there was first degree murder. The principal theory, it was related to that because they were saying assist, advise, encourage, and they were going through the legislative history of the words aid and abet, and they were going through, that's the part that's dense a little bit. But ultimately, if you get to the meat of the opinion, where trial courts need to be aware, is that, let me go back up. So in that case, which Mr. Mizrahi points out, it says, while, and I'm reading, let me see what page is this, 787. It says, while Brian characterized the planning of the murder as very mutual, he also stated that he planned a lot of it and that he instigated a lot of it. And Brian never testified about anything Denise did or said to incite or encourage him to commit the murder. It's very different, I guess, factually, which is what Mr. Mizrahi was pointing out, that you had someone that was at one degree / level, and I think that's where the appellate court was drawing the line, saying that Denise Williams was culpable, her conduct was culpable based on words when it related to the conspiracy, but not because of this Brian witness. He delineated that he was the main factor, therefore making the evidence not competent or substantial enough to go to the jury. That is the way that I read that. So in this case, while I hear the defense say, and your theories are based on all of the cross-examination that you did, the state of Florida is allowed, if legally sufficient, to go to the jury based on the evidence. And I am familiar with the inference stacking, but there has to also be basically, the court has to be careful between that prohibition by law and what is legally permissible related to circumstantial evidence. And so I believe that the evidence that this court has seen through the testimony of the witnesses, viewed in the light most favorable to the non-moving party, which is the state, is sufficient to go forward. So I'll deny the motion for judgment of acquittal.
was that to
Yes,
both
Both
ma'am.
counts, on both counts.
Understood.
I like her. We know she wouldn't have granted it, but this is probably one of the few where it potentially
So
could have happened.
Let's have a conversation about what's going to go on tomorrow. You're going to have your witnesses available and ready at 9 a.m., if any.
Yes, Your Honor.
Then what,
I would expect it to be an extremely light day. I think you've given me latitude that if that happens, we can work on our closes and close Wednesday.
yes. So what I would like to do is, depending on the hour and time, we will finish the defense case. Is there anything left unmoved in, or everything's in from your perspective?
Everything's in from our perspective at this point.
Okay. We will do that. We will have the charge conference, as I've previously indicated. Melanie, I'm going to ask that you stay, okay? I'm going to talk to the lawyers off the record, but I'm going to ask that you stay through that conference off of the record so that we can put it on, so that starting hopefully Wednesday at 9 a.m., I would read a portion of the jury instructions up until the point, and this is where I stop. I don't know that you all have tried anything with me, Mr. Dreiser, Mr. Hill, Ms. Day. So what I do is I read up until submitting the case to jury. Oh, no, I'm sorry, rules of deliberation. So I stop there, and then I don't read rules for deliberation. I stop right before then. I let y'all argue. Then I pick up after that, submitting the case to jury, the verdict forms, and then they would retire after that for their deliberations. Does that sound okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And does the court envision not doing that Wednesday afternoon or waiting until Thursday morning? I guess since we have a waiver, it doesn't matter.
Well, I would let them deliberate late. I mean, late, like 8, 9 o'clock, and then let them come back if they can't reach a verdict. So if we start at 9, these jury instructions aren't that long. So I would envision that they would possibly get the case early afternoon. So they would have 6, 7 hours to start deliberating.
And is there any chance of doing the closing tomorrow, even if it's a bifurcated
No.
proceeding?
I wouldn't do that. What I would do, I will give y'all, so what we would do the charge conference, we break so that you all have plenty of time, you're rested, the jury's rested, so that you all can work on your closings, you'll know what the law is. That would be my plan.
I like this.
Just hashing it out really informally with the state, it's probably going to be like states close in the morning, defense close in the afternoon, and then deliberation, given the time that each party thinks they'll go.
What? Give them an hour.
I read about a minute or so a page, and so the opening instructions are about 20 pages, so that's like 20 minutes, give or take. And then, so you think your closing would be
Say she does a
all
couple hours.
morning?
Well, if she does, let's just say she goes a couple hours, then I would say I would
Need a
probably
break.
request that they get maybe an early lunch, and then I go. Maybe we just
Lunch is like a clockwork, Mr. Dreiser, so it comes at like 11.
I would tell the court probably an hour 30 to hour 45, but build in a little extra time for that,
so,
just in case.
So for your first close?
Yes, ma'am.
and then if I'm long, so just
Okay.
so I would still want to.
I'm
that I
long,
would like to
and
not
I'm
be
long.
broken up.
I don't
I don't want to take a lunch. if I
Would
can.
y'all rather them just come back the next day and deliberate?
I think it depends. Let's say we take a lunch.
I'm trying to give them a whole day. I could start the instructions at 8:30 if that would help.
Can we discuss amongst ourselves and come back to the court with some kind of better idea of scheduling? Now that I'm hearing this,
I don't get why she doesn't just cap them at 2 hours. 2 hours is way more than you ever need for closing. If you need 2 hours, you haven't presented your case. That's my opinion. It's way too much. Any closing arguments over 45 minutes is clearly you not being good enough at presenting the case. The jury has all the information. So if she needs an hour and 45 minutes, she doesn't have a case. That should be automatic. Fuck off. You can get 45 minutes and then you can get 15 minutes for rebuttal of the defense. If they need a 1 hour and 45 minutes to convince the jury of a trial that has been going on for 6 days, they have not done their job. I know I say it all the time, and Americans are like, oh, you can't say that. I have never, ever had closing arguments over 30 minutes in Denmark. Never. And I have had murder cases. You don't need that because I listen to every single word during the trial. That's my job as a juror. I sit there, I listen, I take notes. I don't need you to tell me what I need to look at because it's me who is the fact finder. This is the biggest problem that in America, it depends on how great your lawyer is at closing. That's not justice. You fucking had 6 days to put a case on. If you can't convince them in 6 days, you should not get 2 hours to convince them again.
I'll speak to Mr. Dreiser about how many witnesses tomorrow. It's conceivable, rather than breaking up that way, I could get...
No, they have been really good. If you haven't watched along all the way, they have been very good at poking holes in the entire case all the way through. Actually, I would say they were probably 40%, oh no, more, maybe 60, 70% for the judge to give a direct verdict because they have really poked holes in it. 2 hours, yeah, maximum. You shouldn't be allowed to do it. Yeah, that's the thing. And people are like, oh, it's been such a complicated case. Well, it's your fucking job to make it uncomplicated. It's not your job to tell on the last day because that's not evidence. You should go in and say, we have clearly shown this guy paid this guy. We have clearly shown that he had access to a weapon, even though they haven't. We have clearly shown that there was a marital conflict, and that's why he's guilty. And then you fuck off. This is, I hate that they get to speak that much.
First close tomorrow afternoon, depending, but I need some time.
I think that's a really strong possibility.
So,
No, it doesn't need to be broken down because your American justice system isn't that 12 inexperienced people should be told by a lawyer what to believe. Your justice system is that 12 jurors should, well, 6 maybe sometimes in Florida, but a jury of your peers should judge you. It's not being swayed by a lawyer. They should watch the trial. Then they shouldn't have a cheat sheet that a lawyer comes in and say, well, look at this, look at this, look at this. Because closing arguments are not part of the trial. There's nothing in the 5th, the 6th, the 14th Amendment that says that you need closing arguments. Nowhere is that. That's just something that they made up at some point. This is going back to old Roman courts. In Rome, all men loves Rome. In Rome, you would hire the best orator. He wasn't the best lawyer. He didn't know laws, but he was really good at selling your trial or your case. And that's the problem. That's not justice. The justice system in America is bound that 12 random fucking people get together in a room, look at the evidence and say, did the state prove the case? It's not, can a lawyer convince them that they put on a real case? That's why, chuck it out. Stop all of these fucking hour-long, I think the longest I've seen is 3 hours of closing. You should never be allowed 3 hours of closing. I know, different system, yada, yada. If you can't get it done in an hour, you should go back and take your bar license again.
let me propose this. So for your discussions, you don't have to commit. Let's say the defense finishes relatively early. We have our charge conference. I don't think it's very complicated. It's very straightforward. There are a couple of things that I'd like to talk to you all about tonight that I think would help. Would you like for me to read the instructions, send them home, and then start your closings in the morning, first thing? And then would that help? So in the morning, if they start at 9, they essentially have 4 hours. And then, do you think you could get it done by then?
I think we would have the entire afternoon.
Right.
I'm leaning that the state never ever proved that he planned it with him. There are some checks that I think they have a reasonable explanation for, even though in my mind, you cannot get from the alleged shooter to the victim without him, but that's not proven by the state. They haven't shown me one single evidence because the checks was paid after. And we have testimony that he did some work for him that he might have gotten paid for. So I don't think that they beyond a reasonable doubt, and that's always the problem. Even though in my mind, the logical thing is he must have had something to do with it. They haven't proven it. They don't even have the weapon. They claim that someone else's weapon, who didn't see the weapon since 2016, gave him the gun. But there's no proof of it. None whatsoever. And you know me, the state better fucking prove it. So I don't believe, I believe that this should have gotten a direct verdict and been tossed out because they have never established a connection that he would ever, that he ever hired him to do it. In my logical mind, yes, they most likely had some, but that's not what I'm here to find out. I'm here to look at the evidence presented in the case, and they haven't presented any evidence that he did it.
Didn't have been arrested, it seems silly to waste that time. From the state's perspective, I think that
what they gave us in the opening statement and what they have done in the trial is very different. And I think the defense has been really good at poking holes. So I would give this defense team a very high rating. Very high rating. They have been great.
the thing that makes the most sense is that we do the defense case, you have a charge conference, you have a large break for lunch. The Stifler does her closing.
Use your microphone. Elaine.
Then they get the case much earlier in the day.
When would I be reading according to your plan?
Before Ms. Stifler does her closing.
So 20 minutes, you would, okay.
I think we would have the whole afternoon.
I think he may be right.
Right, that'll give us 4 hours, and that's plenty of time to get the instructions and first close done tomorrow afternoon.
And then it'll be the next day, defense close rebuttal case.
Mr. Dreiser gets a overnight to think about it, so
They get a nurse to his minute.
it does.
I'll take it.
You're also giving him extra time to like figure out what to say.
Yeah.
Longer and longer.
God, I probably couldn't do it without that extra time, but thank you. I'll take it.
I'm joking. All right. Okay. First order. All right. We'll be done for the day then. And I want to see the lawyers at sidebar because I have a few questions that will help me. I'm going to push the jury, my draft of the jury instructions out to you all. Okay. No, it's just, I just have some questions before all right, court's adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Well, thank you. I like this judge. I think this judge have done a really, really good job doing this case. I think she's professional. She's considering pros and cons. She's not one of those judges who just automatically goes with the state, as we see sometimes. I think it's been great. This trial, what we've seen so far, I'm very interested in seeing which witnesses the defense brings in. Apparently, they're not going to bring in a lot, but again, it's also hard to prove you didn't do something you didn't do. It's yeah, I don't know. She's still in the beginning, yeah, but she seems reasonable. I like the decisions she have done on the things that's been brought up. I really wish that we knew the outcome of the ex-wife's or the victim's wife's phone. I haven't been able to see it anywhere what that ruling was. Remember, they tried to hold the victim's wife in contempt of court because she didn't want to turn over her phone. The allegations that I read online, because we didn't hear it again, is that she allegedly had been in contact with several of the other witnesses. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, because again, we didn't get a ruling on that one. So I kind of want to find out what the ruling was. But again, she had that hearing for closed doors, so yeah. Just saw her brother this summer. Haven't seen him in 20 years. What? Who? What? What you talking about, Willis? Anyone understand what Zach is talking about? But I don't know. It's gonna be interesting tomorrow. I just can't stand that we're gonna get another 40-hour closing argument. But someone said make a good closing arguments. Well, you have to go in there and I think you have to answer your own opening statements. And say how you prove what you gave them in the opening statements. That's the skeleton I would use. And the problem is, again, they didn't do that because they misstated how the funds was used, where the funds were coming from and all that stuff. So I would, of course, the state will try and yank every little thread they can to say, well, clearly no one else could have done it because he got a lot of money, blah 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 blah. But I don't think it's going to help talking for an hour, talking for 90 minutes, because there's also a limit, and you all know this. Well, I don't know if that's the truth in America. In Denmark, every lesson in school is 45 minutes long, and that's based on, and that's probably not even the case anymore because we as human beings has become less attentive. But every class is 45 minutes long because they did a big old study that said no one can concentrate for more than 45 minutes at a time. It's the same when you're watching my trials. You'll be here in the beginning and you'll be, oh yeah, I'll be in chat and I'm talking. And then, no, I'm going to go get myself a cup of coffee. I'm just going to check how La Vuelta happened today. Oh, that was a hailstorm and they ended the race early. Then I have to go check out my hydrangea. And then I'll come back and say, hey, everyone, how's it going? Because the human mind, again, based on old studies, can only focus for 45 minutes at a time. So that's why 45 minutes should be what you are always aiming for as a maximum of opening and closing statements. 45 minutes. And if you are given 45 minutes, you should always plan only to talk for 35 minutes because you will stumble and you will. That's one of the things we were taught in politics when you have to learn how to speak publicly is if most times you'll get like 5 minutes to introduce yourself and your platform and stuff like that. They always say plan for 3 minutes because when you start talking, it'll be 5 minutes before you get to half of the things that you planned if you planned for 5 minutes. But every study shows you cannot concentrate for more than 45 minutes. So you'll just lose people whenever you go over that because the human mind just doesn't give a shit. We will zone out and you'll begin thinking about, oh yeah, I want a pot roast tonight and blah, blah, blah. 45 to 50, 40 in Sweden, but that's because Sweden populated by people who are not real humans. That's why they can't do as long as us. But that's what the study shows back in the day. And we all know since the inception of social media, our attention spans has lowered significantly. That's why in Denmark, we have a lot of focus on activities during lessons to get up, move around, use your body a little bit, then sit down and then continue your lesson. Because we just don't have the attention span to do 45 minutes of pure tabula rasa, which means the empty slate where you just feed information into you. So again, it's a waste of time talking for 90 minutes because half of that will just be wasted, because I'm not saying every juror will zone out, but most of the jurors will zone out, and just the most important stuff you say, you have to put in the first 15 minutes of your closing arguments, or else it's just wasted. Oh, Pernilla has way too much hair for you to braid in 45 minutes. Yeah, but you can't do the same task for more than 45 minutes. You have to switch it up. You have to break your rhythm. That's why normal lesson breaks is around 45 minutes. You get up, you move around, you have something to drink, you get a cup of coffee, you just dilly-dally a little bit, and then you go back and then you're ready to learn again. You have to reset your brain. You can mow for hours. Yeah, but that's because you don't use your brain for that. You don't go around and think, oh, I need to cut that. That's an automatic thing. And at the same time, your brain is doing 25,000 other things. You probably have either music playing or listening to a YouTube stream, or you are potentially, I don't know, on Grindr, or whatever you do while you mow. But the human brain just can't do any task where you have to focus on the task for more than 45 minutes, because your productivity will fall off. Yeah, I know. I'm not squinting because I need to read anything. It's because I'm concentrating. My reading phase is, this is my I'm concentrating thinking phase. Yeah, I don't know when you do your Grindr surfing. But we'll come back tomorrow and we'll see what the defense, if any, they put on. Apparently it's going to be a short day tomorrow. I don't mind that. And then a shitty long day listening to lawyers being boring on Wednesday. I have my car at the mechanics Wednesday, so I have to figure out how long that'll take. It should be done by 4 o'clock. Or maybe I'll pick it up Thursday. I'll figure it out. Late night stream later tonight, if I wake up, where we will be looking into how well the internet's first full day of no drama went. I will say that I won't be giving out pure gold stars for the no drama day. But thank you all so much for being here, and have a wonderful rest of your day if you're not joining me later. Hasta la taco.